And we say hello and welcome to our South Australian viewers who join our coverage today. It's a great motor race. It's underway. We're back under green after lots of yellow so far. Audi leads the way with Marco Mappilli behind the wheel. More than one race though, Krilsey, and down in the Recaro Invitational class, the leader is going to get a drive-through penalty. This is the 91 Mazda-bodied Mark Australia V8, and they've attracted the officials' notice, and there's going to be a drive-through penalty, a black flag being held over the start-finish line just to our right, so they will give up a bit of track time. Meanwhile, 97, Alex McDowell in second place at the moment, needs to dispose of this Porsche. It's sort of stealthed its way up to 10th position for Chris Pither, but now he's going to lose a lap here to the second place car. He's already had the leader go through. Richard Creel alongside me, John Hindhaugh, and Graham Goodwin of dailysportscar.com joining us as well for his first run at the mountain and enjoying every minute of it. I know the young Alex McDowell then in the Aston Martin. That's the sister car, actually. That's the JH, that's the 99. Oh, my apologies. That's the one that's had all the problems earlier on. I wasn't expecting to see that doing such great speed. 28th place with the impressive young Kiwi, John O'Venta, behind the wheel. So they're quite a way down the order after some massive dramas all the way throughout the weekend. But making their way back up the order as others hit their own troubles. This fantastic looking coffee-coloured Porsche, the green, black and white Craft Bamboo Aston Martin, flat six, plays V12. Yes. It's a symphony on the mountain, isn't it? Still damage on that 99 car, guys, as well on the right rear. If you watch it as it's going away, just a little bit of bodywork flapping, but compared to what it looked like a couple of days ago, they've done a cracking job. Yeah, that car was heavily involved in a crash on Friday with the pre-race favourites, it has to be said, Maranello Motorsport, defending champions. At the elbow, Tony D'Alberto was driving the Ferrari. Jean-Marc Merlin was driving the 99 car. They collided. It was a case of one car going slow, the other one not so much. Unfortunately, it destroyed the Ferrari. They withdrew from the race yesterday. Tony D'Alberto hospitalised briefly, but he's fine and okay and back home in Melbourne with his family. And I'm sure watching this race very closely. And we say hello to TD. He's a great young driver and was so looking forward to that squad. So too were the other drivers. Mika Salo, who won last year, and Ben Collins, the artist formerly known as The Stig, was part of that driver lineup. Unfortunately, didn't get a start in his Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour debut. Mappilli then with 3.6 seconds in this Phoenix Audi at the head of the field. The sound of a screaming V10. It works for me, that it really does. Alex McDowell then still trying to clear the traffic, and as he got a bit of clear air now, we'll see. His lap times have picked up a wee bit, and he's took a bit of time the last couple of laps away, and now, of course, it's problem time for the leader, because he starts, once we've gone green flag racing, he gets a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps, before he starts hitting the back of the field again. He's leading the Darrell Lee overall category in the pro part of the A class for GT3 cars. Basically, you're classed as a pro car if you have 2 or more seeded drivers. If you have 1 or fewer, you're in the AM class. Simple as that. And by seeded, a loose definition means if a professional race car drivers are classed as seeded. Let's go down to the lane. Here's Mark Beretta.
Yeah, the number 27 Ferrari has just pulled into the garage. They had a punctured right rear. They fixed that, got the car quickly back out. They're back in the race.
The aviators go very well with your white race suit there, Barretts. I like it.
Thank you very much. Not much else does, really, but thanks.
That's dropped the 27 car, though, out of 6th position, so tumbled a little bit further down the order. Back now behind the Nissan that led the race until that stop just a little while ago from Florian Strauss. Katsumasa Chayo back in the car now, the 35 car down in 7th position. That's a pretty car, isn't it? The pink, purple, black, Donut King sponsored Lotus Exige Class C car, ahead of one of the B-Class Porsches there.
GT4 class entry and involved in a fight with the grey Aston Martin behind it. That is first and second in the GT4 category. So they are fighting amongst themselves for the class lead. GT4 cars, Graham, they're a step below GT3. It's reasonably self-explanatory.
Much closer to a production class. What you basically have got there is a little bit of performance, performance parts on the car and some safety systems on there too, John.
You are now allowed paddle shift on the GT4 cars, but you don't have ABS and traction control as you do on the GT3 cars. And these are very difficult cars to drive, very powerful, upwards of 350 horsepower. And this Aston Martin is closing in, and this is it. It is on for the lead in the category.
It is at the moment, John, but it's the Lotus that actually started at the green flag running here second. So the Lotus has gone by the Aston Martin. Chris Porritt, though, doesn't want any of that. He wants that lead back. So it's V8 Aston Martin against a four-cylinder, lovely little light car, the Lotus Exige. And it's going to be interesting to see how these cars handle the up the mountain, across the mountain, then down back again.
Driven a GT4 Aston Martin, not in competition, mind you. It's a very well-balanced machine. Oh, Lambo issues. We saw them spinning at the same point in the Michelin Chase in the highlights package. And this is the 8th position car with Steve Richards at the wheel. Stephen Richards in problems there, Crailsey.
8th place car, the Interloy car, Craig Baird and Justin McMillan behind, trying to pull it out the way. He'll try and limp it back, but he's got, well, just under 6 kilometres to do that. He's just at the top of Mountain Straight on the run up to turn 2. And Richo has pulled that car off to the side of the road. So it's a Lamborghini Gallardo GT3, one of 2 in the field. And they were running 8th and just sneaking up on it. They dragged themselves back a lap in this race.
Yes,
Craig Baird's stint in this car was very, very impressive, and they did take a lot of Justin McMillan's driving time off in this car early on in the motor race, but technical issues, they're pulled to the side.
Another penalty for a Bentley driver on a restart. It's the 8th car this time, and it was JP who picked one up last time. This time it's Pete Edwards behind the wheel, and the black flag is out over the start-finish line, and the number 8 is being shown. The Bentley boys have not been endearing themselves to the race direction this weekend.
I think that's about 6 pit lane Bentleys for the...
Every one of the Bentleys has been pinged on a restart or a problem in the pit lane.
In fairness, it's part of the playbook for Bentley, slightly caddish behaviour there.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure WO would approve. So here's that Porsche again, and look at the different strengths and weaknesses of the cars if they go through different parts of the circuit. The Porsche, of course, the only properly rear-engined car in the top class. Engine sitting way back over the rear wheels as it has been for over 50 years. The new GT3 car coming next year. So Pat Long telling Barrett's early on, this is a relatively old design, going back 5 or 6 years now. Now, this car isn't 5 or 6 years old. It's been built up on a new shell, of course. It was one of the development cars at Weissach, which is Porsche's motorsport facilities in Germany. And somehow, CJ, David Calvert-Jones, managed to prize it out of Porsche's hands, get it across to the west coast of America, get it prepped and get it in the race.
Barrett's is in pit lane as we look at the Nissan, Mark.
Yeah, guys, bit of a change coming up for the lead car, the Audi number 15, Lawrence Van Tours, the man who set that blistering pole position lap yesterday, is about to jump into the car. So there will be a change of driver and a quick pit stop for the number 15 Audi. Lawrence Van Tours about to jump in.
Thanks, Barretti. Electrified Mount Panorama yesterday. Fastest ever lap officially recorded here. It's not a lap record. You have to do that in a race to claim an outright lap record. We've seen a GT lap record already today, the 2:03.3, but a 2:02.5 was 6/10 quicker than anybody else. And remarkable stuff. Talking about the Porsche, to finish up on that, I often get a lot of people saying, how do they make that car work with the engine hanging out over the rear axle? Isn't it like having the horse pushing the cart? And I say, well, they make an Audi R8 with a mid-mount work, and that's like having the horse in the cart. It works.
It's called engineering, and Porsche will tell you they're an engineering company first and a car company second. That hasn't changed from the very, very earliest days of Dr. Ferry Porsche and how they've gone motor racing. In fact, they only went motor racing because they couldn't afford to advertise their cars.
There's Lawrence Van Tours suited, booted and ready to go. It won't be this lap around because through comes Malcolm Appelli to start the next lap for that car. That will be lap 132 complete now for the number 15 car. But Lars Van Tours, one of the fastest GT racing drivers on the planet, and that car is going to go even more rapidly in just a few moments' time. Should just correct myself, by the way, as they're trying to get by that GT4 lead battle, the number 15. It's not a four-cylinder engine in that car. It's a charged 6-cylinder engine, actually out of the Toyota Camry.
Shay Adam in pit lane.
Dean Canto, you're with Erebus Motorsports. They know how to win here. They've done it before in the past. And earlier when I was talking to Betty, she said, no, we're just looking to put on a good show. But now you're sitting in a different position. What's going through your head?
Look, I mean, we're confident that we were going to be in a challenging position for the race. And, you know, qualifying didn't go our way. We started P7, but we've been fighting for the lead for the rest of the race. You know, we're sitting P3 at the moment. Jack and Richard are doing a great job. You know, I'm a little bit more experienced around here. I think I've done 20 Bathurst, so I know the track inside and out. Still learning the car as we go, but you know, during the race then I actually went quicker than I had in practice and qualifying. So getting comfortable with the car now, and you know, the guys are doing a great job with the pit stops. We're just managing the brakes and the rotors now, and looking after the car basically till the end.
Now, you did have a new experience for the Bathurst 12 Hours, getting to drive at night when it was dark in the morning. What was going through your head when you were starting and couldn't see the track?
Well, Richard managed to start the car, so I got to watch from here. So I don't envy him. It was quite dark. I've never driven that late and well, that early. Sorry, in the dark. But he said it was actually all right with the lights on, and the cars in front he could see quite well. But you know, I hopped in the second stint. I did a double stint, and you know, we'll just plan it out from here and see who finishes.
And the track was slippy earlier in the week. Has that gone away? Has the grip level come up?
Yeah, the track's definitely fast now for the temperature that it is out there and the times that the cars are doing. The level of the track grip has certainly come up, but I'm sure you'll see the times tumble when the track cools off later on in the race.
Erebus is always a team to watch for the win.
And sure, you better get ready for some action. I think we might see one or two people taking a pit stop. It's fallen nicely because the Mercedes-Benz AMG safety car is about to roll, and into the pit lane is in. He's in the pit lane now. The leader is in the pit lane, and he gets out before the safety car comes out. This is a master stroke by Phoenix. Everyone else is going to have to follow them in, and in comes McDowell in second place as well.
At the same time, John, and it actually closed right up on that lap just before the two cars pitted. It's going to be Laurens Vanteur in the car. Are we going to see a driver change for the Aston Martin too? We can't quite see it from here. We've not yet seen Stefan Mucker in the number 97 car. Let's wait and see how that one goes.
Jack LeBrock went through in the 36 Mercedes, so he will lead the motor race ahead of Chris Harzer and Steve Wyatt, provided they don't come in as they come round this time.
Yeah, well, the Erebus car only stopped a lap and a bit to go. Let's go down to the Phoenix pits, Brett.
Yeah, guys, just a slightly drawn-out driver change here at the moment. They're just getting Laurens Vanteur in the car, connecting his cables, getting his water bottle, everything wired up, and now the fuel has been done and cleared, and now they can move on. They're getting new, fresh rubber on the rear and now on the front, so the whole car will have fresh rubber. Laurens Vanteur is the man who we know flies around Mount Panorama. Fastest lap recorded in the history of the race. Yesterday in the second car, 16 has pulled in for the Audi team as well. So it's all happening in their garage at the moment. They're going to have to fuel and retread that as well.
Thanks, Brett. And we've just seen the 97 Aston Martin drive past us. Looked like it was covering foam. So it's maybe a brief fuel spill there. This is inside the JBS Racing Lamborghini. Roger Largo getting out. Steve Owen getting in. Man that's been here more times than I can remember, and plenty of success too in the 1000k race. Very, very good co-driver. That car scored in 16th, but there's been clearly a fuel spill of some kind down at the Craft Bamboo pits, and the 97 car back out. That's going to be very close too between the Phoenix Racing entry, who changed drivers, and at this stage it doesn't look like they've taken Alex McDowell out of the Aston Martin. They remain P2.
Well, that was a very, very quick and impressive call from Phoenix. They were in the window, and Laurens Vanteur has been put in under yellow. That is going to save them a wee bit of time. How's that going to play out to the guys behind? They have got their pit stop, what is it now? Their fourth pit stop done under yellow flag conditions rather than green.
Just goes to show, though, guys, doesn't it? There's even under a safety car, there's drama, because it is a team sport, GT racing. It is about whether or not the crews can turn the cars around safely and quickly, and drama's there for a couple of the leading teams. Remains to be seen exactly what happened down at Craft Bamboo. I suspect you're absolutely right, that was fuel spill. We didn't see any evidence whatsoever of anything more dramatic than that.
Well, it's just to our right, and there wasn't even a puff of smoke, really. No. It may have just been precautionary.
The Damek Pem team going to work on the number 75 car. Steve McLaughlin, the owner of this outfit, Dean Kutzmedes, shown as in the car, and he's been very, very good. James Winslow, the speedy British driver, double Australian Drivers' Champion in Australian F3 in that car as well. Their sister car has been quiet today, the 74. Greg Crick only 18th at the moment and 3 laps behind.
We've done a bit of digging to find out about the Bentley infringements. It is about overlap on the restart before the control line. They've all been pinged for it. There was a message sent out during the race to remind drivers that you weren't allowed to do this from race control. I mean, they're playing the game at race control. If people don't want to listen, you're going to get pinged for it.
Just the bonnet up on the back of the JBS Lamborghini. The wheels are sort of fell off the wagon here. They were so fast throughout practice and qualifying and were good in the early stint with David Russell and Steve Owen behind the car, but they've just dropped off the pace. They're 2 laps behind. This is a lengthy stint. You saw Aaron Kelly, very experienced technical guru, and Wayne Park, who prepares this car, former racer and quite successfully too, just with their heads under the bonnet there of the Lamborghini. But that returns, and you may as well do work like that under a safety car.
Yeah. Listen. We like that. Quick word, by the way, for the volunteer marshals, 500 of them around the circuit, and our safety truck crews who have been stretched to the limit already in the first 5 hours and 55 minutes or so. We've got a number of flatbeds around the circuits who keep taking out, getting out there and getting the guys picked up. One of them has got its own Twitter feed as well, which is very, very, very entertaining. Trackside tow truck, and the rest of the guys, thank you for your hard work here at the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Right, Phoenix Racing have been right up at the sharp end all day, and Barrett's is down at their pit. Go, Mark.
John, fair to say they've been faultless so far today, and Italian Marco Mappelli is with me straight out of the lead car. Marco, great stint. There's been a lot of patting you on the back and congratulating that drive by you. Well done.
Yeah, it was cool. I really have to say thanks to the team and Audi because the car works perfectly, and I just have to push and get confidence with the track, which is the first time for me. So thanks to the team, and let's continue like this.
Marco, any concerns about the car? Anything you need to keep an eye on as the endurance race unfolds?
Yeah, of course, we need to keep an eye on brakes because once the temperature is coming up and the brakes, it's hard to get cool also if the long straight. So we need to get used to, you need to get, soft on the brake. We need to go soft. Yeah.
Now, we've seen you in Australia before driving Formula 3, but this is your first time around this mountain. What did you think?
Well, they say I'm a virgin, but for sure it's hard. Harder than the Nordschleife as well, because I don't know, and the traffic here is unbelievable, and the wall are so close. So definitely one of the hardest track I ever drove.
Now, you drive a lot of these races around the world. Give me your impression of the Bathurst 12-hour race. What are your thoughts on this race?
Top 3, of course, definitely.
That's a big wrap.
Definitely.
I will gladly take that. You need to rest and recover, get some fluids into you. We'll see you back out there later, Marco. Well done.
Thanks.
Harder than the Nürburgring Nordschleife from a man who knows that race very, very well indeed. High praise for the mountain, getting its place in world motorsport with this GT3 extravaganza. Live on 7, it's the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Motorsport is live and free on 7, and this is one of Australia's best. The up-and-coming event that takes Bathurst to the world. The global GT3 Super Final, if you will. It's like the Grand Final, the Super Bowl, the FA Cup, all rolled into one for GT3. And it's here at Mount Panorama, and you're seeing it live on Channel 7. John Hindhaugh, Richard Krill and Graham Goodwin. Sadly, not watching racing at the moment, gents, but this is just bubbling. We've gone over half distance now, Krillsy, and cars are not getting used up because of the safety car periods behind the Mercedes-Benz CLS AMG 63. That means there's a lot of racing left to go. And I still wonder where the tactics will go. Maybe we'll get something thrown on that, some light thrown on that from down at Erebus. And Australia's first lady of motorsport is Betty Clemengo with our Shea Adam.
Betty, I feel like I'm amongst royalty. You elected to be here with us in Bathurst, and we can't thank you enough for that. But Betty, the race so far, it's going pretty well. Fingers crossed.
It's going very well. Look, it's 11 hours of qualifying, 1 hour of racing. We're only halfway through, anything can happen. So we have a policy, we take it easy, we do what we have to do, and then the last hour or so, we let it fly.
What was behind your decision to be here? Would you miss this for anything in the world?
No way, no way. That's why I drove down to Sydney and back again. But this was my baby. This race is my. I look forward to it every year, and it's something that it's in my blood now, and there's no way I would have missed it.
And are you proud of these boys that you hand-selected? They're doing such a fabulous job.
You know, I honestly, at the beginning of the weekend, it was like, oh, Betty, what have you done? You know, you haven't gone with the usual, you know, suspects. You've taken a handful of kids mainly, and Dean, and now I just couldn't be. Oh, I got goose pimples. You know, I'm so proud of these boys. They've come to the fore and they're saying, Betty, look at us. Look what we can do for you. And that is exactly what we're about.
It is, and it's a great program that you've established. You said before the race started you just wanted to put on a good show. They've done that so far for you. And what do you want next?
What everyone wants, but I've got a thing about jinxing. I'm exactly in the same place. If there's a podium in the future, then it's there. If it's not, I've had a great time, and the boys have done so well.
We're back to green. Let's see what they can do.
Well, leading at the moment with Jack LeBrock and Steve Wyatt right up the... no, that's the 99 car again, right up the tailpipes, but I did see one of the Bentleys just in the near distance there. So LeBrock, Wyatt, Kane, Chayo, Vantour as they went across the line, and another great restart for Erebus with lap cars in between them, and it was the Bentley of the 11 car that comes through, and that's Andy Soucek in 13th position. So again, Erebus have got a great restart with most of their near competitors, Krilsey, behind lap traffic.
So this isn't quite the battle for the lead. That is the leader, the black Mercedes-Benz that leads the way. But behind them is the 99 car, which is several laps down. In fact, 10 laps off the lead with Jonathan Venter behind the wheel. But it is the sister car to that Aston Martin that continues to apply the pressure. 97 entry, Stefan Mucker now behind the wheel. Pitted recently, and I believe, Graham, you've got some strategy news on the Aston Martin crew.
Yeah, you may have actually spotted there was foam all over the side and the front rear of the 97 Aston Martin after that the latest pit stop that put Stefan Mucker, Aston Martin factory driver, aboard that car. Came in from second position. Team had a slight fuel spillage. It was heading down towards a hot exhaust, so quite correctly the fire marshal did spray the foam on the car. It wasn't a squeegee merchant and pit out.
Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to be fast. And that car is still fast and might go quicker than it ever has with the very fast and very experienced German behind the wheel. We all got excited when Mucker got behind the wheel in qualifying yesterday. Yes. It paid off too. He hauled it up the grid. Great stuff. We're looking forward to seeing what the 97 car can do. Jack LeBrock leads the race. The margin is officially 3.7 seconds over Steve Wyatt, who is now behind the wheel of the number 77 AF Corsa Ferrari. The most recent safety car was the first time that car has not stopped under safety car to fill up with fuel. Every other safety car before it, they've pitted and they have put juice in that car, and that's shown the number of pit stops. The leader has stopped 4 times, but Steve Wyatt's team, the AF Corsa team, have stopped 7 times, and yet on the racetrack they're only split by 9.2 seconds.
Yeah, and that, you've got to make that decision, haven't you? And then you stick with your decision and make it work for you. What's good here that everyone is watching everyone else. I do get the sense of, oh, is he going to jump? Should we jump? Sometimes you've got to be careful doing that, because you can get drawn into a bit of strategy you don't need. The 63 is the Erebus, second Erebus car. 2 different liveries for those Mercedes-Benz. There's a black one and a white one. And the 63 at the moment sitting down the field in 8th position for young Morecambe.
Well, hang on a minute. I've just noticed something. We've ticked over the halfway mark.
I did mention that.
Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 out. Oh, this must have been in a different space. Sorry, John. 5 hours and 52 to go in the race. That It's a mental barrier, isn't it? Clearly for me. 6 hours and 7 minutes gone as we approach midday local time.
We're sort of coming across the top of the mountain in a couple of 3 hours. We've been heading around down the other side of the Comrade Straight of this race. But at the moment, it is the Erebus car, one of the very best Australian teams, with one of the very best Australian drivers in GT racing, Jack Le Brocq, making good his escape. Nearly 10 seconds to the good. He's got that clear air in front of him, and he's using it to his best advantage. But behind him, Steve Wyatt's got Stephen Kane all over the back of the number 77 Ferrari, the AF Corsa car with the kangaroo logos on the front and the side. Stephen Kane in the number 10 Bentley Continental. The first time, I think, since the 40s, since we've seen a Bentley racing here on the mountain.
Correct. And this is for position, these two, line astern, the red Ferrari. Just up the road, you can see we're on board with Kane. On the limiter, on the hard cut as they go through the kinks. So they've got that car geared perfectly to get to absolute VMAX in the rev range as they come down to the braking zone at the chase, and it's busy here. And that could be a vicious rumour car in front. In fact, I'm not sure if that's the AF Corsa entry. No, the AF Corsa car, just a few cars in front. So as it leads this train of cars through, 1.2 seconds, second to third at the moment. But this car running in third needs to work its way through some lap traffic. Great onboard pictures.
Stephen Kane, one of the best at picking his way through from his single-seater days. He's got to have a bit of patience here. I like this hire for Bentley. I think they did a great job, Stephen. One of the underrated drivers in Europe, and often hasn't been in the right place at the right time to get the right shout. And behind him now, he's in trouble because this Nissan that is gently coming up behind him is for position. So third and fourth, the 10 and the 35 car, Natsumi Chayo behind the wheel, and now this will be the hurry up for Stephen Kane. So you'll see he'll change a little bit, he'll start moving out into the mirrors of the Ferrari ahead of him, saying, come on, blue flags here, I'm getting caught by somebody for position, your lap's down. Need to go one way or the other and decide which way you're going to let me through. It's difficult to do it at this part of the racetrack, and I wonder if Chaya will just be able to have a look and make a little bit of advantage as they come down through the S's here. It's what, 16, 20, 24 wheels of GT4 action. This is marvellous stuff. This tied together with very short bungee straps as they head down the mountain.
Welcome to our Queensland viewers who join us in the midst of an amazing battle for the minor spot on the podium in the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour. You've joined us at the best possible time. A massive freight train, a bottleneck of cars through the elbow, and positions are changing left, right and centre. The AF Corsa Ferrari has just been passed. The Bentley got through, but now Katsumasa Chayo in the Nissan has gone past, so the Nissan charging its way up to third place. This is a great fight for the minor spot on the podium with 6 hours and 10 minutes into the Liqui-Moly 12-hour.
But look how cool Stephen Kane is. Right foot braking, saving fuel by doing that. No overlap on throttle and brake. And he's very cool as up ahead. That's now second position, is it, as they've gone through?
So Wyatt lost out in that exchange, and he wasn't lapping as quick as everyone. And he was the cork in the bottle. He popped and everyone blasted through. So it was at the elbow, we saw it on board, just ran wide and a bunch of cars went through. So Wyatt's gone back to P5 in the 77 Ferrari. Chayo's gone to second place and still trying to work his way through the vicious rumour number 48 car side by side through Griffin's Bend. So Kane to third, Stefan Mucker fourth in the Aston Martin and coming quickly too.
Kenny's right with the Nissan again there because of the very sensible decision by Chaya-san to stay out of the side of the Ferrari ahead of him. Now this is GT3 driving and racing at its best.
Now this is the Nissan closing in on Andrea Montemini, former Formula 1 driver, of course. Ahead of them is the second of the Erebus cars. This is the 8th place car in the hands of Nathan Morecambe. And you can see there from the rear camera, Katie is coming. But he didn't have the straight line speed that the Nissan had down the Combat Straight, John.
No, and as they head down the S's through the dipper and down towards the Falcon Tyres elbow, can he get right up underneath the Nissan and perhaps use some of this lapped traffic to his advantage? Gets good drive out of the faulted tyres elbow. This is the view back from the Nissan. Now, is that Bentley going to get larger or smaller? It's getting smaller. The Nissan's pulling away. He's got the toe from the Ferrari. Needs to get inside here as they go down towards the King and then the Michelin chase. The Bentley has dropped, but the Ferrari has not made it easy at all for the car coming through. Wow, that Ferrari's quick in a straight line. It's low, it's slippery, and it's quick. And here comes the Bentley back for position. That's for second place.
And the Ferrari was getting a tow as well from the 63 Mercedes. So Montermini down in 9th place at the moment in the 49 car. Chio needs to be careful here. We've seen already today cars that are a lap down squabbling with cars that aren't even in their battle, that don't need to do so. You need to be careful when you're dicing with cars that are on a different lap.
And by the way, Jack LeBrock's good. Thanks very much, fellas. You battle amongst yourself. I'm 24 seconds up the field.
Massive margin.
Should mention, maybe Montemini should be actually checking out this battle, but he's in a battle position as well because the car directly in front of him, the 63 car, is one position ahead. It's 8th and 9th position. Finally, the Nissan gets by the 49
nice
Ferrari and puts another lap on the 49, and now has got to deal with Nathan Morecambe, the 8th position Erebus Mercedes.
Katsumaza Chayo, very, very sensible there. It must be frustrating when you know that the lead is getting away and you've got someone right on your rear spoiler trying to get by, but exactly the right mental attitude taken there by the Nissan driver in the GTR. You've got to just keep your position and wait for the right time to make a clean pass. And Mark Beretta is down in the pit lane for us here on 7.
Hey guys, it's great to see some of the world's greatest drivers here, but it's great to see some of our Aussie legends and champions here as well. Driver and team owner Jono Webb is here having a look around. Jono, what do you love about this race?
Oh, I think any race at Bathurst is always exciting, but you obviously walk in, it's a very different flavour to what we're used to. There's no Holdens, there's no Fords. We're looking at Bentleys, Lamborghinis, McLarens, and some really cool exotic cars.
Now, I know you well enough to know your passion for driving. I know how much you want to drive the mountain. Would you do this?
Oh, every day. Yeah, I think if the right opportunity came in the right car where we can come out here and try and win the race, yeah, I'd be here in a heartbeat.
Excellent. We look forward to that, mate. Enjoy the day here. Enjoy the Bathurst 12 hour.
Thank you.
Well, that is just a marvellous battle that we're watching for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th position. We've still got 5 hours and 45 minutes of this. We are going to take a short break from the action on the mountain just to allow the commentators to cool down. It's 2015's big season opener here in Oz, and it's live and free on Channel 7, the Liqui-Moly 12 hours of Bathurst. The bicentennial of Bathurst as a town or city this year, and big party atmosphere here on the mountain. And we've got a problem up the cutting there. The blue wall has attracted another Mercedes-Benz, and that is
Nathan Morecambe.
Nathan Morecambe, is it? The 63 car?
We were following this before the break. The battle for 9th and 10th. He was dicing with the young Kiwi Graham Smythe in the Truss family Motorsports Ferrari. 9th and 10th on the road. Montemini had just gone through in the 49 Vicious Rumour Racing Ferrari. So they had 2 strings to their bow. Erebus Motorsport might be down to 1. One car leads the race. The other is in the fence, and the safety car is called. Mercedes-Benz safety car is on the road. 5 hours and 41 minutes remaining. The Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hour.
That's a blow for them and their hopes in the race.
Trying to find out what was going on down there at Erebus. That was a very, very hectic battle. They were scrapping and squabbling over the minor spots in the top 10. And they traded positions a couple of times, and Morecambe was right in the midst of it. It looked like he was still coming up to speed in that stint, and we won't speculate too much until we see exactly what happened to the 63 car, but it had looked to me at least that it copped a fairly hard whack against that blue wall.
It did rather. We had 2 overlapping battles, didn't we? The battle for 8th position and the battle for 2nd position or 3rd position there. The number 99 Aston Martin just leaving the pits, and the car is just rolling down, but that to me looks like the right rear is down there, John.
Right rear has no air in it, and there's damage on the left-hand side as well. Now, was the right rear cause or effect of that incident in the pit lane? the number 9 Audi. Chris Meese getting out of that.
Yep. Also on the pit lane, and actually just ahead of this car on the road, 14th and 15th position. That sounds pretty low down, but nearly 30 of these GT3 cars, the Class A cars in Aussie terminology here, and they're not by any means out of contention. I think we're going to see, hopefully we're going to see, the impact there. And here it comes. This is going to be Nathan Morecambe.
Arriving backwards, I'm expecting, from the right-hand side. Yeah.
Yes.
And now, he had a right rear puncture before he hit the wall, because the right rear didn't hit the wall, and that was already down. Now, had he clipped the inside before, because that's a favourite there as well, Crilsey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Not the first person to crash there. That's a shame. That car was well positioned, and the young driving side of the Erebus squad, not that the drivers in the other car are particularly aged, but the youngsters in that car, 16-year-old Austin Cindric, as well as 22-year-old Simon Hodge, they'd all done a great job, Nathan Morecambe included, but unfortunately, the mountain bites.
Yep, the 3 drivers in that car, a combined age of probably less than one of us, guys. Yes, you heard it right from Crilsey, 16 years old, Austin Cindric, the driver to come in that car. Nathan Morecambe and Simon Hodge both have held the outright lap record here. Simon Hodge still holds it, both in Formula 3 cars, I believe, Crilsey.
Correct, yeah. Hodgie did his at Easter last year, amazing time, 2:02.6 in a race. We have gone quicker than that this weekend, but it was in qualifying. I don't know, if we get a sprint to the flag this afternoon, we've already seen a 2:03.3 today on lap 29 in that beautiful, cool, crisp air of a Bathurst dawn. I wonder if we might get some more fast times later on this afternoon. Expected top in the low 30s today in the Bathurst region. And at our last check, track temperature was 36 degrees, ambient 26. Very, very comfortable conditions for the crowd that are here this weekend. The Superbarn Supermarkets Porsche, one of the contenders in the Century Batteries GT3 class, exits pit lane. Brothers James and Theo Konduras, Marcus Marshall, very, very experienced Aussie race car driver, and Sam Power, who goes on a big adventure this year to race Porsche Super Cup, having raced Porsche Carrera Cup Australia here last season with great success. 21st place and second in their class. The leader is 20th, one position up the road. So it is still very much on in Class B. That battle of the Porsches could go right down to the wire.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? A great way to go motor racing. Those Porsche Cup class cars eligible for so many endurance races around the world, not just the Porsche classes. And we've seen them all over Europe and the Middle and Far East. Oh, hello.
Does it get any more Australian than that? You're at Bathurst for a motor race, and a game of cricket has broken out.
Yeah,
marvellous.
It's absolutely Aussie, because Dad bowled the ball, he's off for a beer.
Yeah. Pit stops, cars will come into pit lane and get some service, including the 3rd place car of Stephen Kane. So the number 10 entry last stopped on lap 101. So those guys have jumped into pit lane. While we're under safety car, we'll get some bill paying out of the way. We'll take a break from Bathurst and come back with some green flag racing.
The awful sound of a tyre unravelling and taking out the wheel arch interior on the right rear of the Erebus Mercedes-Benz. And there is the debris that we hope wouldn't be on the racetrack. And that means we've had a huge amount of pit stop activity, and Mark Beretta can bring us up to date with some of the comings and goings.
can bring you up to date with the temperature of the track. You can see it for yourself. It was up to 53 degrees, so it is incredibly warm. There's a 49, so sort of sitting around 50, low 50s, the track temperature. The ambient temperature out here at the moment is around 30 degrees. It is warm and getting warmer. It's amazing what the tyres are going to go through from where they started this morning. You know, obviously a morning here in Bathurst in New South Wales is quite chilly at this time of the year, so from the cool of the morning just before sunrise when we started this race through to 50-degree temperature now is quite an extreme movement. And remember, inside the car it's between 55 and 60 degrees Celsius, so the temperatures here are extreme. You can see why it's so important the drivers stay dehydrated, or stay hydrated I should say, and try and avoid dehydration, so really concentrating on that.
He's in the car, Barrett, so I imagine the race suit's probably not quite that extreme, or is it about the same?
That's why he's got the white Elvis suit on, to reflect the heat, isn't it?
Thanks to Barrett's in pit lane. This is why we're under safety car. Just rolling the 63 car slowly back down. This is quicker, believe it or not, than spending the time to load it up on the back of the flatbed truck that's following down. So hopefully this means we'll be able to go back to green very, very shortly. Well, it's been an amazing day on the mountain far. We're 6.5 hours in to the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour, and it started in a beautiful pre-dawn here on the mountain and turned into a day of, well, there's been attrition, lots of safety cars and lots of damage. This happened under safety car, remarkably, with two cars getting into each other, and they've since both been retired from the race. And dramas too for the Lamborghini Gallardo GT3, the 48 car. Stephen Richards is pulling off to the side of the racetrack.
11 Bentley doing a bit of rally cross, betraying the motorsport roots of M Sport. WRC winners, of course, and some great racing and some great patient picking way through traffic for Katsuma Chiyo in the Nissan. Big sideways moments for the Aston Martin number 59, and then, well, it's the place that's caught so many people out in the 63 Erebus, the youth team, if you will, just being caught out there, as many people have, and limping now back to the pits with a deranged rear end. I think there was a right rear tyre issue before that car hit the wall. Here's how it looks on the Michelin hourly update. The Darrell Lee A-Class with Jack LeBrock from Katsumasa Chiyo, then Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. And we continue the variety of brands with Laurent Vantour in 4th position. Guy Smith, the best of the Bentleys, in 6th. And Steve Wyatt in the first of the Ferraris in 7th. Peter Edwards just holding on to the back end of the top 10 in the Flying B Bentley in 10th position. And in the Pirelli hourly class update to Darrell Lee, A-class leaders Jack LeBrock and Katsumasa Chiyo. Then it's Porsche, Aston Martin, BMW M Coupe, and the Mark Focus of Adam Gowans in the Century Ridges, GWS personnel and Recaro categories. And that is how it stands with 6 hours and 31 minutes to go. We hate you missing racing action, so we'll take a break now and come back with some green flag racing. So the 63 car finally makes it back into the pit lane after its troubles, and a right rear puncture that may have been caused by a slight off the previous lap into Maguire's Murray's the last time around. Before we go back to green, let's head down to some more motorsport royalty in the pit lane. No, not you, Mark. It's the guest.
Sorry, God, I just got excited there. Yes, of course, it is David Brabham. Great to have him here, as always. Great Australian and fantastic international driver. Dave, you guys, you've teamed up with of course, John Bowe and Mr. Edwards as well, and going well, you guys. What's the feel of the Bentley? How's that been to drive?
Actually, obviously the car is fairly new to the team, so we got here really not quite knowing what we were going to get, but a few little tweaks here and there, and the car actually is nice. It's nice to drive. It's comfortable. It's we need to find a little bit more speed out of it, but it's early days. But it's a car that gives you confidence, which is really good.
You're hanging around in the top 10, which is about where you want to be.
I think it's where we probably felt we were going to be. There's a big competition here, as you know, and it's early days for the team. But yeah, if we can get in the top 6 or 7 at the end of the race, I think that's a great result for Flying Bee Racing.
Speaking of the competition, it has been fierce. It doesn't feel like a long 12-hour endurance race. Every time you watch the race, it feels like a sprint race.
You know what? Endurance races these days are sprint races. They really are. Yeah, so probably the last 5% you wait till the end if you can get a position to win. But it is pretty fierce out there. There's no hanging about. Everyone's on it, and you know you have to be. Otherwise, you ain't going to win.
Speaking of no hanging about, they're back into it. David, thank you very much. Good luck, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Barrett's. We're back under green. This is the pack going up Mountain Straight, and it's busy, very busy. The official margin, 3.6 seconds at the line. Jack LeBrock to Chio-san driving the number 35 Nissan. Cars 36 and 35, first and second in the race. We're back under green, 147 laps in the books, so too 6 hours and 36 minutes.
We've seen an awful lot of penalties levied for overlapping at the restart. Katsumata Gio, though, played that one absolutely perfectly. He was behind a slower car, but right on the money as he crossed the start-finish line and got the best possible restart he could. He's closed the gap to Jack LeBrock.
And also importantly, in front of the Nissan, with only one car to pass to take it back to 1 lap behind the leader, is Tony Verlander in the 33 Clearwater car. Now, we're keeping a watching eye on this. If you cast your mind back 12 months to this race, the car that finished second lost the race by 0.4 of a second. We're 2.5 laps down just before the midway point of the race. HTP Motorsport somehow came back from 2 laps behind and almost won. This race is not over yet for that Ferrari.
And we're looking back from the boot lid of the Nissan, and behind the Ferrari you can see in the distance there is a green, black and white Aston Martin, and aboard that car is a very focused German, Stefan Mucker, an Aston Martin Racing factory driver. 3rd position at the moment, closing in on the Nissan, but looking for a way by that lapped Ferrari, the 458 there, red car with the silver stripes.
That Ferrari has got to be the quickest thing through the traps down Conrad, because nobody's had any kind of answer to the slipperiness of that Ferrari mid-engine V8, which does make a beautiful scream. This is the V6 twin turbo, of course, of the Nismo Athlete Global Team, the GTR, with such great history here at Mount Panorama and reliving the glory days in the Nissan Nismo colours, as the V8 Supercar Ultima was here as well in the same colours. They'll run those for the whole of the season as well. Great global effort by Nissan Nismo through all kinds of motorsport and bringing on new talent through the Nismo GT Academy, and all of the guys in this car have been picked through that scheme. None of them have your classic karting and then Formula car backgrounds. They were all sitting on a couch doing their video games, well, in some cases only just over a year ago, and now we're racing at one of the world's top races.
Absolutely, powered by Tizer and Doritos, the Nissan GT Academy. And but as we, I think, said earlier in the weekend, guys, one of the things that we perhaps forget when we've got these guys with not a lot of racing experience is they are online gamers. They know how to set up a race car.
Yeah.
What that means is they can play a part in the engineering side of these things, and that will play a part when you're trying to get yourself dialed into a new track, to a challenging track. There's no more challenging track in world motorsport than Mount Panorama.
So Jack LeBrock leads the race, but I'm watching the splits of Tony Verlander. We will harp on about that 33 car, because as we've heard over the course of the race, they have now got their 2 best drivers and 2 of arguably the fastest Ferrari drivers pretty much anywhere in the world to do the rest of today's race. Tony Verlander is behind the wheel, the very speedy Finnish driver, and the Irishman Matt Griffin will get back in that car at some point too. He's setting personal best sector times. He's got 1 car to pass, and that is Jack LeBrock, and he becomes 1 lap down. It's much easier to come back from 1 lap down than it is from 2.
We told you to look a bit further back than the Nissan to the Aston Martin. Look further back again, and coming into the back of the shot behind the Aston Martin now is the Audi. That's Laurent Vanteur, Belgian driver that absolutely smashed qualifying yesterday. He's closing in very quickly indeed as the number 63 car rumbles down pit lane.
This is now getting to be an issue for Stefan Mucker, because he is now under pressure and it'll be getting ramped up a little bit. The heart rate that he normally controls, he's going to go for the inside move into Hell Corner. He's got it, he gets position, and in fairness, no issue there. He was probably held up by Montermini just a little bit too long, maybe a lap or so. It's all going to come down to how quickly Laurent Vanteur can get by and to see if he can get onto the tail. And that Ferrari is a rocket ship quick in a straight line. It's gone to just cover the inside line now, and a car that's laps ahead of him. We'll keep an eye on this while Shea gives us some news from the pit lane.
The 63 Erebus came in, and it was being driven by Nathan Morecambe. He got out of the car, handed over to Simon Hodge, and the team did minor updates to the car. They took all 4 Pirellis off, including one that was absolutely demolished. It had no air left in it. All 4 of the tires were heavily covered in stone, so I think you're probably right on that, John. Going off the track had something to do with the puncture, but the team went right to work, took all 4 tires off the car, and immediately began banging on the wheel wells to try and get a little bit of space back. The rear wing is actually pushed up because of the damage, so I don't know how much downforce that will be adding to the car, but it just came back in after doing 1 outlap, did a round. The team undid the front hood of the car, looked underneath, decided everything was okay, and sent him back out. He was in the garage for maybe 15 seconds total. These Mercedes SLSs are built like tanks, and they tend to go even when things like the mountain get thrown at them.
Yeah, proved themselves in all kinds of 12 and 24-hour competition. The Mark Australia car. Just about to say it in the background there, I saw a spoiler that didn't look to be going in the right direction, and the Mazda 43, the tube frame car, has gone around. This was the Starwell Cartage car in the Recaro Class I.
Michael Robinson behind the wheel, sports sedan racer. He runs a big 6-litre Chevy-powered Holden Monaro in Australian sports sedan competition. He's used to quick cars with a lot of power.
It's Griffin's, of course, that he's at. We were looking down towards that when we picked up the other Mazda, and the black spoiler at the back of the car just appearing to be in the wrong direction. Couldn't tell whether it was someone at the side of the track or a car. It is this car, and again, he'll be looking for help from the marshals here. 500 volunteers around the circuit making this race work, and the tour teams may be called into action again.
Hopefully he can find reverse like we saw Mark King did this morning when he spun just a little bit further up the hill at the cutting. It took him a while, I think, reset the car, find reverse gear and try and get it back together. No, we're not going to get that because we've just gone safety car. But full credit to race control. They waited, they were patient, but this will be frustrating for Tony Verlander because once again they've been flying but thwarted by another safety car.
I think that was a great call, because what you were getting race control there doing, they obviously know where all the cars are on the track. So whilst cars are going through in 1s and 2s, they're giving him every opportunity to get that obstruction moved. There's a big gaggle of cars that is coming up and fighting for position. What you don't want there is someone diving up the inside into Griffin Bend and then being faced with a big blockage in the road. Brilliant stuff.
The only place he could go is in harm's way. That's the point. It's a blind turn. Even with yellow flags, if there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to go.
This is safety car number 11, and the mountain, even at safety car speeds, looks pretty intimidating to me from the Nismo Nissan GTR coming down onto the Conrod Straight, past the Bathurst Light Car Club on the left-hand side. There's jams and fruit available to the left-hand side here. I've seen that out all week as we've been driving through the cutting there.
There's a winery on the opposing side up Mountain Straight, so plenty going on. Remember, lots of full-time residences in and about the Mount Panorama precinct. Somebody does have the address as certain number, Conrod Straight. Mount Panorama Bathurst.
And there's Mountain Straight as well, isn't there, of course, as they go up the hill. On the right-hand side, there's a residence there, which is appropriately called Racelands, which is a great, I love it. Well, that car is dead stick there. Leader. It's not working. And leader in the pits. Jack LeBrock brings the black and white Erebus Mercedes in, and the Clearwater car follows him in, Tony Verlander. Now, this is interesting. If Verlander can beat the leader out, he's going to get one of his laps back. They need to do a very quick turnaround for the 33 Ferrari in the foreground, the leader in the background, the number 63 car, and that's going to be a driver change there. So Verlander needs to get out quickly, and he's got his lap back.
Yeah, and then he'll be only one behind, and it sounds like a lot, but there's still 5 and a bit hours to go in the motor race. There's plenty of time for them to make up that extra lap, and with all the safety cars we've been having today, that's a real possibility. New tyres going on. Pirellis, and by the looks of it, front brake pads too.
First time we've seen this happening. A lot of people asking when we might see brake pads. You've got to watch the guy at the other side, open them at the same time so that you don't pop a whole lot of brake fluid out and then cause air bubbles in the brake system. Got to get the driver to work with you here as well.
And this is important. Remember last year we had a battle for the lead between Craig Lowndes in a Ferrari and Maxi Book in a Mercedes. The Mercedes flew up towards the rear of the Ferrari at the end of the race because they changed pads. The Ferrari did not. So new pads, like we've said throughout the day, it's the little 1%ers. That could be the difference in braking performance when you're trying to execute a move later in the race. Good stop by Erebus for pads, driver, tyres and fuel.
And is that the 30? Oh, there's two Ferraris ahead.
No, it's the 49 and the 77.
Yeah, Villander's already out.
Villander's gone. Villander's got a lap back.
He might well have his lap back here. I think we could be on. And that's pretty exciting. We want them back in the game. We need them on the back end of the lead lap.
Matt Griffin wants to win this race like nothing else on earth. Had a good season so far, Graham.
He has had a very good season so far, but talking to Matt earlier in the week, and you're absolutely right, very much wanted this one on his CV. He's been third here, he's been second here, and he desperately wants to have the number one.
And Bob Wen Song, the team owner at Clearwater Racing, who's been racing Asian GT for a long time, he's the same. He's invested a huge amount into this race.
Well, he's the unseeded driver there, but he is the most successful Asian GT driver in history. Correct. In terms of wins in races and championships as well. So he's clearly a decent peddler, knows how to steer. Right, let's check down a few cars a little bit further down the field. The Icebreak Coffee number 12 Porsche, just hanging in there at the back end of the top 10. They've had a quiet run. It's Pat Long that's in the car at the moment, the Works Porsche driver. So let's find out from Barrett who he's talking to and what their strategy is to try and get them back to the front of the field.
Well, Chris Pither has just jumped out, and it's very hard to know that because he looks ridiculously fresh after a stint in that car. Chris, how's the car going, and what's your plan to move up through this field?
Yeah, it was pretty good out there, to be honest. There were quite a few safety cars, so that made my job pretty easy. But the Icebreak Porsche felt pretty good. I was happy with the way we're going. We seem to make steady progress. We haven't got caught up in any carnage out there. There's been plenty of it, so I think we're in a relatively good position. We just need to keep doing what we're doing, stick to our strategy, and I think we should eventually start moving up the field.
I like the way you came in, you looked at the timing monitor, you got 9th and said, yep, that's good, we're going okay. What about driving conditions at the moment? I mean, we know the track's 55 degrees, the temperature outside's 30 degrees, it's 55 to 60 in the cabin. How are you managing that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's actually quite good. The Porsche is relatively easy to drive compared to what I'm used to. So I went out the gate and I didn't flick the cool suit on straight away. And when I did turn it on, it was quite a nice feeling. So I was comfy enough out there. And like I said, with the safety car period, to get a chance to relax and get comfortable in the car, adjust your belts, have plenty to drink. In saying that, I reckon the drinking water was probably 40 degrees as well, so it wasn't too nice, but tried to keep hydrated and just enjoyed it out there.
Maybe a nice cool icebreaker will just make you feel better.
Yeah, definitely when you get out of the car, you can't beat a good ice cold ice break. Thanks, mate.
There's one for the sponsors, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah, good one. Big push from that brand in all kinds of Australian sport. At the moment, you might have seen the announcement earlier on in the weekend. Well, once again, the racing gods have given us an opportunity to go away from the action here without you missing any racing. So let's take that, and we'll be back with more Liqui-Moly Bathurst. 12 hours for 2015. It's fast, it's free, and it's here live on Channel 7. Massive crowds at the opening of the Australian motorsport season here. We're racing on Mount Panorama at Bathurst for 12 hours in the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Not a campsite spot to be had on the infield. Extra camping on the outside of the circuit, and talk for next year that there might even be some camping up on the top of the mountain, such as being the demand for this international motor race. Richard Craill and Graham Goodwin, Daily Sports Car Editor, alongside me, John Hinoff, up here. We've got Shea Adam and Mark Beretta in the pit lane, and we've still got plenty of racing to go. Don't go writing any headlines yet. Over 5 hours of racing still to go, and that is the sad news, I'm afraid, for one of the tube-frame Mazda RX-7s, formerly the Patrick Dempsey team, of course, and we have been having a bit of a josh with Patrick Dempsey on Twitter, and there's definite interest from the IMSA driver. Well, of course, he's full-time WEC, yeah, World Endurance Championship driver this year in a Porsche.
And not just Patrick from the world of not just racing but entertainment as well. A little bit of Twitterage with who else, John, this weekend?
Yeah, Eric Banner still interested as well. Now he's working this weekend.
We've just seen the Mazda that was in trouble there on the back of the flatbed. And we're going to be getting back to green pretty soon, but before then, John.
Well, you see, the Mercedes-Benz is such a great car. It's spending a lot of time out front. Now, yesterday, and I'm not really sure I want to do this, but yesterday, Dean Cantor was good enough not only to give Barrett a ride, but to give me a ride as well. And the ride of your life? Well, you be the judge as we go for a quick lap round Mount Panorama. Well, here we go then. I've driven round Mount Panorama in a number of cars. I've even been driven round, but not by a superstar like Dean Cantor on my right here, and this is an AMG 63 CLS, nearly 500 horsepower, and we're already halfway up the mountain straight, and you don't get to see on TV is just how steep this is, and I can see nothing over the top of the rise. We get a little bit air there under the tyres. Now down, brake, nice and gentle for Griffin's Bend. Always looks like you can take a little more speed in here than you really want to. Dino working hard, takes it up to the curb on the exit. You don't want to take too much there because the wall's very close. Up through the cutting now. Plenty of accidents here. Get down through the gearbox again. Nice late apex. Wait. Patient now on the throttle. Punch the car up the hill. And even the traction control on the AMG CLS can't contain all of that torque. Now this is the bit that's all about the ballet with 500 plus horsepower under the right foot, just floating. Wait for the grate, then turning. No curb on the left hand side, balancing the car between brake, throttle, steering, fingertip control by Dean Cantor here, who is making this a fast but very secure ride. Now the bit I've been waiting for to come through at speed, my first time down through the dipper at speed, and it looks even tighter than it does on the TV. The left front wheel scrabbling in the air as we drop down through there. Now is there going to be a little torque on the throttle before the Falcon hairpin? Yes there is, and we go through, nice early turn in there so we can get the power on. Just a little short shift there so we don't get too close to the wall. And now, breathe and relax, check the gauges. One hand, change the station, make sure you're listening to us. Down Conrod Straight, the stuff of my childhood watching the racing down here, and in towards the Michelin Chase. Use all the road on the left-hand side, turn it nice and early. Still on the power, now on the brakes. It's incredibly late for this left-hander with the really odd camber in the middle of the road, so you go across to the right-hand side just a little bit early there, and then drop out, use the curve under the Liqui-Moly bridge. Now we'd normally go straight down and left at Maguire's Murray's, but we're coming into the pit lane, and Dino, I'm still alive. That's rapid.
I saw you have a few panic moments there, mate.
There was one or two little wide open eyes that got it there. And when I asked him how many times he'd driven this car around the mountain before we set off, he said, what, including this time? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, one. Good stuff, mate, and good luck for the race.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now, Graham Goodwin, when John came back after that ride, he said, no, easy, no problems, didn't raise a sweat, no fear. It was not a problem at all.
No, seriously, my hats off to Dean Cantor, getting a lap like that in that car with all that weight on the left-hand side.
And all the talking going on at the same time.
Absolutely.
I saw abject fear in those eyes. The gritting of teeth at the elbow as well was apparent to me.
Only from Dean carrying 110 kilos of success ballast in the left-hand seat. There is a story about a certain Porsche driver who took me out on a fast lap on cold tyres at Silverstone, who forgot, how can you forget that I'm sitting next to you, and missed his braking point for one of the corners, and we very nearly ended up having a huge accident because of the extra weight in the car.
We need to say our thanks as well to Mercedes-Benz for not only providing the safety car, but allowing people to drive it like that with passengers. But what a great advert for the car as well. So I take it from the vision you enjoyed that.
Well, what's not to like? You know, Bathurst at 60 clicks, as you said, as a public road, feels at parts too quick. And, you know, driving around in the Nismo 370Z that we had last year, or the hybrid Pathfinder that we've got this year, you know, you get an idea. And, of course, you want to drive the racing lines, and thankfully we get to go on it when the track is closed and there's nothing coming the other way. But there's nothing like going round it at speed, and Dean knows his way around here. He instantly got on the pace in that car and could feel the limits of, let's be honest, a street car on street tyres.
Well, I'll tell you, he was telling one slight fib, because he did have a practice lap, and I know he had a practice lap because I was out there in a Bentley Continental road car with Stephen Kane, and he came past us like we were standing still.
Chained to a post, I think, was what Stephen said.
And what you could see from our perspective was just how edgy that lap was. The car stepping out. That's not a road car. It may look like a road car, but that's a car that's been breathed on for track use here, and we're about to go.
It's AMG.
Yeah,
what more do you need to say?
We're about to go green flag racing again.
I was going to say, that is a car without its lights flashing, which can only mean good things for us. So too can this battle, because those cars at the front are very, very closely matched, and they are locked together. The first three cars, Chayo in the Nissan, Muka in the Aston Martin, and Vanthoor in the number 15 Audi, the car that's been arguably the fastest of the day, are locked together. 1, 2, 3. This will be a fight for the lead in the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 Hour, and the field will soon become in the control of Chayo-san in the Nissan, and we will go back to racing.
And the second car there, the Aston Martin with Stefan Mucker's got to be careful. There was a little bit of an overlap there. He can't do that now. He'll be being watched. And watch Vanthoor in third position, because he gets the opportunity to see what's going on ahead of him. Now, when is the button going to be pushed by the Nissan? Now, and now into the braking area for Maguire Maurice as they go around it for the 155th time and come round to the green flag. Oh, it's not a bad start by the Nissan driver, but it's not a great one, and he's going to have to defend into the first right-hander. Down goes the splitter close to the ground as a slight mistake made by Mucker. Just has to get out of the throttle, and here's Vanthoor. Vanthoor's tucked so close under the wing of the Aston Martin you can barely see him.
The Aston's better in a straight line though, and it'll need to use the toe of the Nissan to help defend that position. He's sitting in the middle of the road, holding on from Laurens Vanthoor, but there's no challenge from the 15 car there, and the Nissan scampers away for 2 car lengths on the run up to turn 2.
But once we get up on the top of the mountain, that's where the Audi comes into its own. That's where we saw record pace from the number 15 car in qualifying. Let's look when we get to the twisty bits what Vanthoor can do about the big V12 Aston Martin.
The problem is, it's all well and good being massively quicker than anybody else over the top. It's almost impossible to pass until you get down to the elbow. So you need great drive out of the dipper and try and send one down the inside at the Falcon Tyres elbow.
Isn't it amazing? We were talking about the patience of Chayo-san when he was in third position going through all of that traffic, and then in second, but not letting it get to his hand. Now he leads the motor race, and a mistake then would have put him out of that position. And look what he's got now by being a little bit sensible. And that is what it's all about.
These are the very quickest tin-top cars over the mountain anywhere. GT3 cars, what a vast variety of cars we've got here. Vast. The Australian talent here for starters. Something great for us to see, John, when we come across and cover this great race. Joined by factory drivers from across the world. This is the newest endurance racing classic on the planet.
We're riding on board with Steve Owen in the number 32 Lamborghini, who has drawn this car back into something resembling contention in the motor race. 12th place, they were 2 laps down, they remain 2 laps down, but trying to get one of those back in this little stint. So they're 12th on the road. The reason we're following this car around just behind them is the number 10 Bentley, driven by Guy Smith at the moment, that remains in contention for an outright spot. They're 4th on the road and in contention, but Chayo crosses the line. He leads by 1.2 seconds. Stefan Mucker in second place, 1.2 behind. Vanthoor third. This is the battle for second and third on the road.
I got very excited there as they went by, just for the noise as it hit the windows of our commentary box. Second and third still battling on. There is that Lamborghini we were talking about. They've got a great view of what's going on ahead of them. Look into the distance. That's the battle for second and third. Little chip in the windscreen there. They're going to have to keep an eye on that doesn't spread too much and get into the driver's view. Now down through the gearbox. Let's have a listen. Take a bit of curb on the exit. Oh, that's the 77. That is 5th place, and Michele Rugolo has backed it in. That would be coming out of turn 1, I think. He's clearly got it wrong coming out of Hell Corner. Now there's some damage to the rear.
He's got it fired up. This was the car sitting in 5th place, and he has made contact. I think he's hit one of the braking markers as well, perhaps, or the pit exit bollard. That's what it'll be. He spun across to the inside. Looks like he's kept it off the wall. Okay.
No, look at the right rear wheel.
I think that's part of the.
No, that's part of the polystyrene.
Yeah, the bollard that he's hit somewhere there at one of the braking markers or one of the exits. We'll see it here, replay. Now, he was caught back in the queue, in the traffic, putting a lap on the 47 Superbarn Porsche. Oh, he got served. He got hit by the former race leader, Dean Canto.
Hit the wall.
And that was for position. They were 5th and 6th on the road. So Canto looked, he took a wide line. Canto on the inside and drove into the side of the white kangaroo, and it was a Liqui-Moly sign. And he did make contact with the wall. Bill, one sign to Bruce Morrison, care of Liqui-Moly, please.
Yeah, he's done the suspension. He's not going to get that back. He's not going to get that back, and he knows it, and he's done the sensible thing. And thus, just behind him there is an entry to the back of the pits. He would have done a lot worse than just pulling there and got him dragged back into the back of the paddock.
And thus falls one of the contenders. This car was absolutely in the mix. They were 5th, they were on the lead lap, they were stopping every safety car to put fuel in. It was all going so well for the nearest thing there is to a factory Ferrari GT team for AF Corsa.
Is he a unhappy punter as he gets out of there? Michele Rugolo will be wanting to have a wee word with Dean Canto.
Their plan A, I'm afraid, is in tatters. The challenge for the overall is certainly over for them. The
local yellows only, guys. We are still racing on the rest of the racetrack here, and Chayo leads from Muka. So now the question is, do we think it's going to go full course caution to get that car pulled out of the way, or can it be pulled back into the entrance to the back of the paddock, the camping area, without needing a full course and a safety car out there?
I'd like to think it's, personally, it's out of the way far enough on the side at Mountain Straight, but race control, no, well, what do I know? I'm just a commentator. Yellow on the timing screen at safety car boards and flags for the 12th time today. 157 laps in the books, and once again we pause. An endurance race interrupted by some brief sprints.
Well, endurance racing tends to be sprint racing between pit stops anyway. That one, to me, is the very definition of a racing incident. I'm not blaming Dean Canto for that one at all. He's trying to get his nose up the inside and get in position. And Rugolo is trying to get around a car. One guy moving right, another guy moving left. Sadly, come into contact, but I don't think Michele Rugolo quite sees it like that as he heads back towards that gate. He's not took his helmet off. Drivers not taking their helmets off are not happy drivers, I've found.
Race control will take a look at this. Race control will definitely have a look. Now, Rugolo was offline. He was wide getting through some lapped cars, but at the same point, he got drilled in the side. The old B-pillar rule will be sighted there halfway up the car.
Okay.
I wonder where... what race control thinks about that. They'll be looking at it upstairs, no doubt.
Now, the other thing is here, who is going to pit? And there's already activity down at the Nismo Global Athlete pit, so we'll expect to see the GTR coming in for Chayo. Muka hasn't been in that car too long, neither has Vantour. The other people who might just benefit from this is the 33 car, which we saw coming in, and first and second are in the pits. So Laurent Vantour is scored as the leader this time around in the 15 Audi as he goes through.
Absolutely on strategy. That's 32 laps a stint for the Nissan.
That's fallen nicely for them.
That's bang on. So the safety cars are being timed well for teams to get into their fuel window. There's a lot of safety cars so far, isn't there? So fuel going in. Fuel first. If they want to execute a driver change, they can do, but
happening.
It's not happening.
So no tyres either,
just been in there. Waiting to refire the car.
Look at that, his fingers right on the button, ready to go. Oh, he stalls.
And goes, and the Aston is in the lane. It's so close. Well done. The two teams, that shows you the difference. Absolutely nothing. Two professional racing organisations executed identical stops, and the two cars that came in split by 0.8 of a second, leave split by exactly the same margin.
Just trying to see if Guy Smith went through. Yes, he did. So he'll be scored in second the next time we see them around. So by my workings, it's the 15 Audi from the 10 Bentley. Dean Canto might have slipped up the third there.
And look, guys, who's fourth?
No, he's not on the lead lap, excuse me.
Who's fourth in the queue here? It is the 33 Ferrari.
And this is the strategy of trying to get the lap back before.
They needed that stint to go longer.
Yeah.
Verlander needed that stint to go a bit longer so that the 15 car pitted as well.
Correct.
And the 10, because it needs to get past those two. If it gets past those two cars, the 33 finds itself 1 lap behind the leader. Great crowd assembled at the top of Mount Panorama in the shade. There, right, that was the Metal Grate, one of the best places to watch a racing car in Australia. And just sheltering away from this Bathurst sun and enjoying what's been a bruising motor race so far.
Just a thought though, guys. Verlander, current FIA GT champion, of course, he might have the pace to actually drive by those other two guys, and it wouldn't be the daftest thing for either or both of them to let him go. All right, he puts him back just 1 lap down, but if he's sniffing around the back of their tailpipes, the last thing they want to do is get caught up in something. They've got their own battles to fight. It might be a radio message and get on the phone back to the pits and say, let's let him have it. For now, we'll race him later on. Well, again, we have the opportunity to leave the circuit without losing any race action, so we will take it and be back with green flag racing, we hope, when we come back to the mountain and the Liqui-Moly 12 hours at Bathurst. Beautiful afternoon at Mount Panorama. Where else would you rather be? Enjoying the sunshine and some great racing. Well, how about down in the pit lane with Mark Peretta?
Oh, guys, well, Michele Rugolo back in the pits, just debriefing with the team after that spin on turn 1. Tough situation. Can you explain what happened out there?
I don't know which car, but I think the Mercedes hit me from the rear. It was a restart after a safety car, so all the cars, they were very, very tight. I think it's a shame because we were very competitive, super quick. The car was perfect since the first day. I did a very good lap. Oh, yeah.
So here's the moment here. You can see what happened on our replay.
The corner was already finished.
So you have been tapped in the back there a little.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. A tough way to end the day because, as you say, things were going in the right direction. You were moving up through the placings.
We did almost the quickest lap of the race after 3 hours when the track was not anymore so quick. So the car was super balanced. Seems the first lap of the weekend, we didn't touch anything. The setup was perfect. The three of us, we have done, I think, a great job. No mistakes. Steve as well. That was coming from a tough experience from last year. Did an amazing job. Davide was brand new in this circuit, and he was consistently one of the quickest in the track. I think I was in my stint the quickest turn on the track, so we could really fight for the overall race result.
Tough way to end, but you've enjoyed your time at Mount Panorama?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, the circuit is incredible. A little bit, I think a little bit too many cars with too much difference of speed, one another. But the event is growing up, is really great. I think the organization is doing a great job. Yeah, very, very nice.
We look forward to seeing you back next year.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Barrett's down there with Michele Rugolo, who's a sensational driver. Very nice things to say about the event there too. And it's great to see AF Corsa, who've got such an amazing track record in every facet of GT racing and at every level of so much success. It's great to see them have a consistent presence here. Man, they were contenders today.
It's a rule in World Motorsports in GT racing. You're not allowed to start a race in World Motorsports in GT racing without AF Corsa being on the grid.
That's absolutely true.
Rather sadly though, guys, it wasn't just the 77 car that was in trouble during that safety car period, because we had another car going down the pit straight on the back of a flatbed. It was number 27, Trans Family Motorsport car with a missing front left wheel. Was that accident or finger trouble, do we think? Don't know. I'm just looking back down the Twitter feed, but I think one of the spotters out there spotted the car having run straight on, and that car being brought back round to the back of the paddock now.
Well, the hashtag is B12HR, B12HR. Plenty of people tuning in around Australia and on the international stream as well, enjoying this race. It's just after 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. It's late on Saturday night in the US. afternoon on the west coast of the US, and plenty of fans from there making their voices known as well. Hashtag B12HR, and thank you to everyone here as well for being our spotters out on the mountain and making sure we and the rest of our colleagues get the information as quickly as possible.
Truly interactive racing, isn't it? And I don't know if you do you mention Mick Ford from Toowoomba, out on the mountain at the moment. 5 kids aboard the family wagon, 14-hour drive to get here to see the Bathurst 12 Hours. You are more than welcome.
Yeah, great stuff. Bit of different horsepower there, just to the right of picture.
It's Mustang.
Just up Mountain Straight, just past the winery.
You've mentioned that twice now.
Left-hand side. Lights are out on the Mercedes-Benz safety car to move swiftly on from that line of discussion, and we hopefully go back to some green flag racing. The field will bunch up behind Lawrence Vantor in the 15 car, and we'll go back to green. The battle is on with Smith up there in the Bentley. The leaders are in the mix. Now, the car third in queue is the number 33 Ferrari we've been talking about. It's driven by Tony Verlander, who's the current world champion of GT racing. He needs to get right to the back of this Bentley and the Audi R8 and get himself up in the mix.
Watch what he does here, because he's giving himself room to get the hammer down when he sees the leader go for it, rather than being right up the rear of the Bentley and having to accelerate at the same time. This could be clever stuff from Tony Verlander.
He's a little more than 5 car lengths back there. That's the only issue here. He needs to just be a tad closer, I think, as they come under the Liqui-Moly bridge in front of the Ridges Hotel and get ready to go. Now, when will Laurent Vantour hit it? Just before the braking area, gets about 2 or 3 cars lengths, and then Verlander gets a better run through the final corner, as Graham said, but he wasn't close enough there, and that hasn't paid off at all. You really need to be closer than that, Tony. Into Hell Corner for the 162nd time, and here comes the Nissan and the Aston Martin, and Mucker and Chio are at it again. The Aston Martin ahead of the Nissan as they go up Mountain Straight, but the Nissan drags up into the hole in the air that's been made by the Aston, and there's a chance here for Chio to go around the outside. That'll be a major effort if he does it, and he has. He's pulled it off. The Nissan had the power even before they got to the rise, halfway up Mountain Straight.
That's third place, changes hands, and the Nissan goes back up into a podium spot. The Aston back down to 4th. The Bentley just a little bit further up the road. Car 10 sits in 2nd place despite its dramas today, and I wonder if Guy Smith has any pace to go with our race leader, Lawrence Vantor, the fastest man around Mount Panorama, in the 15 car back where they think it belongs. And after an amazing performance so far this weekend, a lot of other people do as well. Spare a thought for this Nissan team. They were at the track repairing this car until 4:30 this morning. They got it back at the track at 11:30 last night after leaving to put it on a jig after the crash in qualifying. That team has not slept. They literally stayed at the circuit all night, have not slept. They are going to be a bunch of tired boys, but man, they're working hard and so close to the wall on the entry to the dipper. Chio is driving this thing very hard, and he's got to find 5 seconds to catch up to Guy Smith.
He has absolutely bonded with the mountain. He was brilliant when he was here last year.
In that case.
Yeah, well, almost too close. Yeah, not the width of an exercise book between the wheel arch there and the very solid concrete, which is always going to come out best if you try to go up against it in any way, shape or form. It's a 59 on the tracks, degrees Celsius, 31 in the air. Our Michelin temperatures here at Mount Panorama. And through the Michelin chase comes the 35 Nissan Nismo. This is the car, remember, made up of the global athletes who have all come through the GT Academy.
I think, John, you might want to be keeping an eye too on the messages we get from race control, because I'm pretty sure we're going to see some penalties from that restart. And I think one of them might well be going the way of the 97 car.
Yeah, and the 35.
And the 35.
Which is the Nissan. We're looking at that now. We're getting word through. They're looking at it. So could be dramas for the cars. 3rd and 4th in the race, and we're told that 2 cars had to dive to the gravel trap to take escape from that queue backing up, and I wonder if that means Tony Verlander, who was slowing everyone down in the 33 car, will also get pinged, and he certainly wasn't 5 car lengths behind the cars further up the road.
1,000 kilometres has been completed here at Bathurst, and we race on for another 4 hours and 38 minutes, and it's nip and tuck exactly as it was some 7.5 hours ago, and you still can't pick the winner.
Black flag, car 36. The Erebus Motorsport car does its drive-through penalty. Dean Canto behind the wheel.
Was that for the contact?
I would have a suggestion that it would be.
Was that just a drive-through?
Yeah. Drive-through penalty.
Correct.
It's still a massive blow to their race time and drops them to the back of these cars on the lead lap. A couple of cars have been sneaking up on it with the dramas that we've had in the last hour or so. Patrick Long in the Icebreak Porsche, P7 for car number 12. They are in the mix. They're only a lap behind. They've got to find 2 minutes to get themselves on the lead lap, but they are right in the mix in this one. Renato Liberto behind the wheel of car 49. That's the Vicious Rumour Racing Ferrari. Yes, the team is called that. It's one of the great names in Australian motorsport. They're 8th at the moment and also on +1 lap, 8 seconds behind Patrick Long. And Peter Edwards, the Flying B Racing Bentley, they have stayed in the game despite all their dramas today. They remain inside the top 10 and only, well, they're the first car 2 laps off the pace. Let's go down to Mark Beretta.
Well, with Jono Lester from the 27 Ferrari, Jono, that was heartbreaking. The car lost a front left wheel.
Yeah, look, it did. We've had a great run today. It's been up and down, but it's been such an amazing event to be a part of, and we were running, as high as second at one point. So, for this sort of thing to happen is, it's gut-wrenching. It looks like Graham's come into the last corner, hit the picks, and lost the front wheel. It wasn't loose, we don't think, because he'd been out there for nearly an hour and a half. So obviously there's been a hub failure of some kind or something. We've just got to wait to get the car back and assess. Of course we want to get back out there and make a finish, but our chances of a podium, Class A and overall now are gone. So, I'm really gutted, team are gutted, but I mean, they've worked their asses off after our car came here late, and so, I'm still really proud of what we've achieved this weekend.
Yeah. All the very best. We hope you get back out there, Jono. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And in the classes, we've got a new leader in Class B, the Porsches. The 47 has gone through into the lead. The Superbarn Supermarket cars back up front again with Marcus Marshall at the wheel. They're having a pretty decent scrap further back down the field with the Grove number 4 car. As I just changed my tone there as Guy Smith took a tiny bit too much curb down through the S's.
Black flag, car 33. We called it. Tony Verlander too far back in the queue.
It didn't help him either. That was the damn thing.
No, he shot himself in the foot there.
I thought for a moment he played a blinder. He didn't. He blew that restart.
Very, very disappointing for Clearwater Racing, who are hauling themselves back into contention. And just a reminder that when they're in the queue behind the safety car, they must remain 5 car lengths or less behind the car in front. And clearly, Tony Verlander was a long way further behind the 2 leading cars of Vanthor and Guy Smith. So, what a shame for Clearwater Racing. Just when it looks like they're coming back at the race, we certainly hope they can do it all over again. So Vanthor leads the margin 3 seconds over the Bentley, which at this point in time doesn't look like it's got the raw speed at this stage in the race, at least, to go with that flying number 15 Audi. And last time round, 205.3 for Lawrence Vanthor. Guy Smith, 206.0, 7 tenths the difference. Chio in the Nissan, 6.5, with Stefan Mucker locked behind him again in the Aston Martin. They have been inseparable today, and Mucker slightly slower than the Nissan, but the margin between them just 0.8 of a second. And we're still waiting on the 5th place car to cross the line, but it will be the second of the 2 cars from Phoenix Racing, the Crocodile Audi, with Christopher Husser behind the wheel.
It's been an up and down day for them, Krilsey, the 16 car. They, I think, dropped off the lead lap at one stage. Certainly, if they weren't off it, they were right on the tail end of it. Remember, had that little bump and run with the pre-mat number 11 Bentley early on in the race that we picked up on camera. And at that point, they didn't have the speed, but it seems that the circuit is coming to them. Tyre choice is going to be crucial with the temperatures way up towards 59 degrees Celsius now. This is the hottest part of the track as far as the day is concerned, because the sun has now been on it for the better part of 6 hours, I guess.
Dean Canto continues to circulate. He's still on the lead lap for those Erebus Racing fans out there. He's 6th. He's behind Christopher Husser, who is 5th. So Husser 35 seconds from the lead. Canto 1 minute and 1. And at this stage in the game, he's the last car on the lead lap, which there are 6 with 4.5 hours to go. But if we have those 6 cars on the lead lap, perhaps as well that Icebreak Porsche we're looking at now, they can find a lap and get themselves back into contention, and they can get themselves into the final stint, the final 2 hours or so which is when the sprint race begins.
Absolutely.
We are going to have some kind of finish here at Mount Panorama.
And it is Patrick Long in the Icebreak car that we're looking at the moment, the coffee-coloured Porsche. That's the man most likely to get back onto this lead lap, should the cards fall his way.
The list of accomplishments this man has achieved in his career, Graham, is simply staggering. For a while, I believe, the only factory Porsche driver in the States.
Yeah, I think it was, and still is the only American factory Porsche driver, not just GT cars, of course, but has also done very well indeed in the Porsche RS Spider.
Yeah, drove with the Penske team, of course, back in the glory days of the LMP2 cars. Those massively quick downforce machines pumping out 600-700 horsepower and seemingly defying the laws of physics. Did his apprenticeship the way that not very many American racing drivers do. Came to Europe and raced in Formula Racing, did pretty well, and took that knowledge back to the States. A product of Team USA, Jeremy Shaw's graduate program, and as much about the way the guys think and act as well as their driving talent, but Pat, a big supporter of young American talent and deserves every success that he's got. Love to see him have a crack in the 919, but I think he's rather tied up at the moment with his GT projects and will be racing with Patrick Dempsey, of course.
He will. It'll be the two Patricks for the full World Endurance Championship.
Caught up the Nissan in behind two cars, the Triffid Venue Ginetta and the BMW 135, and that was a big moment for the Nissan there, and again expertly handled by Chio. He's unflappable, isn't he?
It's been a great race together, isn't he? But that has given Stefan Mucker an opportunity to get back on the boot with the GTR. Let's see what they can do as they come over the mountain and down that very rapid straight. The Nissan has been untouchable down there today, though.
This is an awesome stint from Chio. Unbelievable driving. Heads-up awareness at a blind point of the racetrack. And bear in mind, these GT3 cars, 4th and or 5th gear, depending on how they're geared, and anywhere between 190 and 210 kilometres an hour, with the aero pushing the car to the road, the big slick tyres working hard, and full evasive action to get the car stopped and no damage. Clearwater Racing car enters pit lane. That very, very pretty Ferrari. That will not like the side of pit lane, though.
That will be his run through for...
He waited as long as he possibly could to pit. So we're looking at car number 16, Christopher Husser behind the wheel.
5th position for that car, and he's got a high-flying teammate in Felix Baumgartner. Let's have a word with him. Mark is in the Phoenix pit.
Yeah, Felix is making a great transition from space jumper to race car driver. Felix, congratulations. Your laps out there are fantastic. Well done.
Oh yeah, I finally start understanding the car. You know, it's a lot easier now because I did a lot of laps. Also, when somebody's passing you who's a lot faster, you can hang on to this guy, you know, and it shows you where the right line is. So I'm trying to copy this, and it worked, you know, so I'm getting better and better every lap.
How do you find the experience around Mount Panorama?
It's awesome. It's such a demanding racetrack, you know, and at this time now it's cooking in the car. So I almost spent 1.5 hours in the car, and it's so hot and so energy-taking, but luckily I'm in good shape.
Is it as challenging and as enjoyable as jumping from space?
Well, this is a lot more fun, honestly.
Tell us, we're going to have a look at some of the vision of your incredible jump, but just talk us through your memories. What do you remember about that day?
Well, almost everything, because it was such an intense moment, you know, that it burns into your mind for the rest of my life. But what moment that really sticks out is that moment when you open that capsule door, you know, because then you finally get outside. So now your safe inside environment becomes one with the very hostile outside environment. So now you finally know your whole life depends on just the pressure suit. But then when I was standing there, I really enjoyed that moment. I was trying to inhale that moment, you know, because for 5 years we have been preparing so hard, and all the up and downs that we had finally paid off. So I was trying to breathe that moment, because I knew at that point I will never come back to that point.
Felix, what you did was absolutely incredible. We're all still in awe of it, and it's so great to have you here in Australia. I hope you really enjoy your race day today and have great success. It appears to us that you are having a good time.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get back into the race car.
Hey, they tell me you're going to Hamilton Island for a bit of a rest up too afterwards.
That's Tuesday and Wednesday lined up with my girlfriend.
You'll love it up there. It's a beautiful spot. Have a great race day. All the best. Thanks, Felix.
Right, jump out of a capsule in space, eventually you are going to hit the ground. The skillful part of that is doing it in a controlled way. Driving a race car, I would think, is a little bit more concentration for a lot longer time. Felix Baumgartner making that transition very well indeed in the 16 car, which lies 5th at the moment with Chris Hasser at the wheel. Still 4.5 hours of racing to come here on Channel 7. It is the 2015 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours. Clear blue skies and almost 60 degrees on the track, giving us a great motor race here at Mount Panorama for the 2015 Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours. Barretts is enjoying that sunshine. He's down with Bentley.
Well, I'm with one of your favourites, John. I think the Bentley M Sport boys. Brian Gash is with me. Brian, the guys were just saying that they get the sense that you've got a deeper strategy here to get these cars onto the podium. What is that strategy?
Well, the strategy is to stay on the lead lap, stay out of trouble. There's still a long way to go, and that's the strategy. So we really need to get car number 11 up and try and unlap itself.
Progress is good. You're going very well. You must be happy for the first year Bentley's been here to be sitting so high.
Yeah, difficult conditions, difficult track. So we're learning a lot as we go along. We're happy to be here, but learning a lot as we go along.
And congratulations, because I think all the fans here have just enjoyed seeing Bentley on the track, and the cars have turned out beautifully. The team looks fantastic. It's a great presentation all round.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I hope to see you back next year.
Yeah, I hope so.
And good luck this afternoon, Brian.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Brian has been involved in motorsports for many years. Even before he went to Bentley, he was in South Africa, and his home nation involved in some really fabulous projects out there for Ford. Oh, and we've got a Aston Martin. It's the 52 car that's in the wall, and that's just out of the final corner, just off to our right, spinning the rear wheels. The front end is caught up on something there, guys, and he can't get it out.
No, he's stuck in the gravel, John, on the other side of the car. He's not going anywhere. That car is absolutely beached, and unfortunately, a pretty rough day for the motion sport team out of Banbury in the UK. Took delivery of this ProDrive built Aston Martin Vantage V12. Well, I might mark my words. Hopefully they can get it out there. They took delivery of this car 2 weeks before they had to put it in a shipping container the 1st of December to send it to Australia. And they had it for 2 weeks. In that time, they stripped it, rebuilt it, tested it, sign wrote it, and then put it in the container. So huge effort, but they are firmly stuck in the sand.
And they're going to be hoping there's not too much damage here either, because it's going to go straight back into a shipping container to make it back to the UK for the first round of the European Le Mans Series, which this car is due to take part in.
It is damage to the front, the engine cover, the bonnet is bent.
Safety car called to the circuit. And yeah, there's no way they were going to drive that car out. That sand there is very deep for a reason. Even with the Michelin Chase in, the approach to that corner, 4th gear, 200 clicks, and barrel off into the gravel trap. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, they've avoided hitting any tyres. So the Mercedes-Benz safety car will take to the racetrack once again. This is how they run, thanks to Michelin. Lawrence Vanthoor leads the race, but it really is on behind it. Bentley 2nd, Nissan 3rd, Aston Martin 4th, and the sister Audi to the leader runs in 5th place. Dean Canto still 6th on the lead lap, and just outside of that is Patrick Long in the Porsche. Renato Liberto, Pete Edwards, and Tony Verlander rounding out the top 10. The classes, John, looking very interesting as well.
Yeah, good battles there as well. The Darrell top class, the A category, as we look at the Pirelli update. It's Vanthoor and Chayo, of course. Marcus Marshall in the Century Class B Porsche, 47 leading. Tony Alford is aboard the 54 Lotus, leading the Riches Class C. And the GWS Personnel Class D is still that BMW 1 Series, the 23 car. And it's the Mark Focus V8 leading the Invitational Class, the Recaro Class I. We might need a sandwich to get the Aston Martin out of the final corner. So while we do that, it gives us a chance again to leave the circuit without missing any racing. You lucky people, come back and join us on 7 at the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. That's the scene. Full campgrounds all throughout the weekend as the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour continues here on 7. There are 4 hours and 17 minutes to go. 7 hours and 42 in the books. And Lawrence Vantor for Audi leads the race, though has just pitted, as has Darryl O'Young, or the Craft Bamboo Racing Aston Martin. There's some amazing talent in the field this weekend, and we've been very pleased especially to welcome back one of Australia's favourite sons. David Brabham has rejoined us, and earlier in the weekend we caught up with him to get his thoughts on a Bathurst return.
You know what, for any driver, whenever someone says, would you like to come and do Bathurst, the grin on your face is massive, because this is such a fantastic racetrack. Very unique, very few of them around the world that are like this, and you know, Bathurst, the community, you know, they just love and absorb this racetrack, and you can feel it as soon as you come here. And yeah, really looking forward to getting out there and racing. Well, the goal is to win. I think any driver in situations, that's your goal. But you know, with a new car, I think there's a few uncertainties. So I think we're just going to focus on just trying to do the best job we can, and we're just going to have to see what the result is at the end. After this year, we'll have a better idea of what the car's really capable of. And then obviously going into the race next year, you'd be probably focused a little bit more on winning the overall event.
That's the man. Great to have him here. Le Mans 24-hour winner, former Formula One racer, one of Australia's most successful racing exports, and famous surname, sure, but man, has he lived up to it over what's been an incredible racing career.
And apart from that, Krills, I know you only formally met Brabs earlier on this week, which was something that I was very shocked about. He's just a proper bloke. Great guy, good football, fantastic soccer player, naturally two-footed. Could have probably earned his living at that. Turns his arm over and bats pretty well as well. Bats and balls left-handed, and is just an all-round good bloke. Also just launched Project Brabham as well. Check that out on the internet. Well, the safety car line is going through on the front straight. Not many takers for the pits, but Adam can update us.
We did have one taker to the pits in particular, the 97 Craft Bamboo Aston Martin that was running in second. Stefan Mucke behind the wheel. Stefan, you've never been to this track before this week, and now you're out there running in second. I'm guessing that you like it?
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the track. The car is running good. We are just a bit slow on straight line, so the Nissan is just an absolute rocket. I was ahead of him and he just passed me easily. So it's a bit difficult to fight against them. But the car is running good so far. We had just a little issue where I had to power cycle the car, but the car is running good after that. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Still a few hours to go, and I hope we can stay in that position.
Is Nissan your biggest competition out there?
There are so many cars we are fighting against, so it's not only Nissan, it's all so close together, so it's just too early to say.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really enjoyable track, great fights out there, so yeah, I'm really happy.
There are a lot of races that you go to where the pressure's on and it's go, and win, and
yeah.
The factory sent manufacturer support in the form of yourself and Alex McDowell, but you're still out there having a good time. Is that just a giant stress relief for you before the season really kicks off?
No, it's a good start in the season, absolutely, and especially here with all these safety cars, it's always a sprint race, yeah? You race like 5-10 laps and there's another safety car, so it's sprint racing all the way through, and it's great.
Well, you're doing very well, especially for your first time. I'm not sure I believe you that you haven't been here before, but Stefan Mucke is having a good time and doing very well at the same time, looking for a podium finish.
Thanks, Shay. In the pit lane with Stefan Mucke. Got a quick shot of the 10 car in the pit lane, and Matt Bell's got back into that after his strife early on. So that's good news for the Northeast England driver. Hello to the guys over at San Diego, getting ready for Supercross this evening. Frank Wilson and the rest of the broadcast team. My sometime colleagues are over there who are enjoying some motor racing from the other side of the world. And whilst we've got the safety car out, that means again that we can slip away from the track without missing any of the racing action. It's live and free on 7. Liqui-Moly Bathurst. 12 hours for 2015, and there is Matt Bell out on the circuit. He'll be going back to green when we come back. So still under caution number 13, if my arithmetic is correct, behind that very lovely silver AMG Mercedes-Benz safety car. And the opportunity then for Chio-san to chill out at the front of the field with 1, 2, 3, 4 cars between him. No, more than that, because it's the 16 car, isn't it? That is second place now, and that is probably half a dozen to 8 cars further back. Well, let's set yourself for a little bit more action, and we'll remind you what we've already seen, because there's been plenty of it here on the mountain for Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 Hours 2015.
I feel like it's been an awful lot so far, John, and there's a long way to go. This was the 11 Bentley that has been in the wars today. They've moved back up to 14th place. Maxi Book behind the wheel, and this was awesome racing. GT3 at its absolute finest. 4 different brands just dicing and fighting for track position at turn 2, and that was the Nissan going through up at turn 2. That was a slight brush of the wall for the battered and bruised Motion Sport Aston that is the reason for this current safety car. That was the 63 Erebus Motorsport team spinning with a deflating tyre at the cutting. They limped back. It was a long way, and as such it's dropped them quite a ways down the order. In fact, 32nd position, but they continue on. Another safety car out for the Mazda RX-8 GT. Unfortunately, they spun. This was perhaps the most controversial of the moment race so far. A touch, Dean Canto up the inside of Michele Rugolo in the AF Corsa Ferrari, turned him round at turn 1, copped a drive-through for his efforts, and unfortunately exited the race for the 77 car, which was a shame, because at that point they were looking like Ferrari's strongest challenger for back-to-back Bathurst victories. We're going back to racing. Everyone seems to be reasonably well formed up at this stage, but you don't know what's going on at the back of the freight train. But it's a good free kick for Chio, who leads the race, because there are 3 lap cars between he and the number 10, it's actually the number 8 Bentley. So there's a long way back to the cars chasing him. Dean Canto in the Erebus Mercedes we need to look for. That black SLS AMG. It's busy. You hold your breath into hell corner on every restart. And it's been a trouble spot today. Look at the 16 car swerving left and right to try and work its way through the field.
77 in the pit lane as well, out of sequence. That's an odd one at the end of the
they've got that
yellow
car
flag.
They've got that car fixed then.
That's Rigolo's car.
So that's coming back out. That's what's happened there. That's coming back out of the paddock area. Yeah, good call.
So that's good to see. At least they'll be able to get a finish, hopefully, for AF Corsa.
25th position, the 77 car.
Long way down from where they were. They stopped every safety car early in this race, kept them right in the game, and Rigolo at least looked like he had the raw speed to do the job. Right now, though, the young Japanese driver, Chio, has the raw speed. He is out in front, and he has almost 5 seconds already over the remainder of the field. Erebus Motorsport back in the game. The safety car has helped Dean Canto, who's doing a long stint in the middle of this race. Jack LeBrock and Richard Muscat. You'd expect Muscat to jump in next. He hasn't been in the car for quite some time. Started the race in the dark here this morning. But that Erebus car continues to fight, as we've seen for Erebus so long here. And they continue to produce results at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, it's Dean Canto in the 36 car is now trying to get back on the terms with the Phoenix Audi we're looking at on screen now, the number 16, the Crocodile car. And if you look at the Bentley in between, that is John Bow. Then we've got the 32 Lamborghini, not too much further back down the road. Should be that's Mercedes-Benz. It seems he's dropping back a little there, guys.
So just to update you, the 15 car that was leading before that safety car period took the opportunity to stop. They took fuel. They put Marcus Winkelhock back in the car. He was outstanding this morning, I thought, in those conditions. Got out in front, played the game with the safety car, executed restarts to perfection, and did such a superb job. It's good to see him back in that car. Not that there seems to be a weak link in car 15 so far today, Graham. Man, they've been good. P5 on the road. They're behind Darryl O'Young in the Craft Bamboo Racing Aston Martin Vantage. Darryl is a 2-time winner here, ironically, with a team he's trying to beat this weekend with the Works Audi squad. So that's been a great fight.
I like Bernie Wybers, who's tweeted using the hashtag B12HI. He says, I've made a deal. I cleaned my apartments during the safety car periods for the Bathurst 12 hours. I'm now done for the whole apartment, and I haven't missed any racing at all.
Absolutely right. And B12HR trending at second across Australia right now. So people are getting interactive with this race. That's the way we like to follow an endurance race. Nissan lead the race from Audi, from Mercedes-Benz, from Daryl Young in the Aston Martin, from the second Audi. It's the two Phoenix Audis at the moment, the quickest of the R8 LMS Ultra squadron.
And then it's the first of the Bentleys with Matt Bell back in that car, having rehydrated.
That is they are the 6 cars on the lead lap. Pat Long is the next man most likely to get back on the lead lap if this race chucks him that opportunity. And there is Matt Bell with number 32 Lamborghini, right his wheel tracks. That's not Matt Bell, apologies, that's John Bow, and this is actually full position.
Yeah, so David Russell back behind the wheel of car 32, fastest driver on Friday with a very, very fast 2:04. We would soon see that would be beaten, especially in qualifying yesterday. But for Friday practice on a green racetrack that hasn't been used for 4 or 5 months, it was quick, and this Lamborghini's got some speed. They're still in this race. It will take a lot of effort, a lot of work, and some very canny strategy to get car 32 back on the lead lap. They're 2 laps behind, but if they can, they will be in the mix on this one. The braking zone in the chase.
And he was looking there whether or not there might be a little bit of space, wasn't he, to see whether or not they get the Lamborghini Gallardo through. V8 Bentley led V10 Lamborghini. But here comes a V6 twin-turbo Nissan, and Katsumasa Jaya 5.2 seconds up as they crossed the line the last time around. It's about half a second closer this time, Christopher Haase, the number 16 Audi.
Yeah, 7.6 for Chayo, 6.9 for Haase, so he's pulled back a little bit of time. The battle for the lead that's been ongoing, it's been one Audi or the other taking the fight up to this Nissan GTR Nismo GT3 to give it its correct full branding. What an amazing car it is. And
great history here as well.
Yeah, oh, look, this place resonates with the history of Godzilla. We created the term in Australia for years of domination on the mountain, some popular, some not so much.
Well, yes, there are some very famous quotes. And, of course, this car has effectively begat the LM version of it, the prototype version, the LM GTR, or GTR LM, as we like to call it on RadioLeMans.com, obviously. And it does have the styling cues, there's no doubt about it, as well as the engine up front. And that will be making its competition debut at Silverstone in the early part of the WEC season.
We've been fortunate to be joined by a very special guest in the commentary box, Hindy, a man whose organisation has put a huge amount of work and effort and support into this race. The Mayor of Bathurst, Gary Rush, joins us. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, Richard, and hello, John.
Nice to see you again, Gary.
Nice to see you too.
How's your day?
Oh, look, tremendous. You know, being the Mayor of this city and hosting this event here, you couldn't be anything but feel special about what we've got going on here, and to think that we've got such fabulous racing, the quality of the drivers that are here, the teams, it's just such a great boost for Bathurst.
Heck of a way to kick off your bicentennial year, Your Honour.
Yes, it is indeed, yes. As, look, your listeners may or may not know that Bathurst is Australia's oldest inland settlement, and this year we celebrate our bicentenary. So it's a special year for us, and it's a special way for us to promote particularly images of Bathurst to the rest of the country and indeed the rest of the world, and encourage them to come and visit.
We think of Bathurst as the racetrack, and there's 5 or so races as we've got the Vodka car in the kitty litter, the 7 car, he's hit the wall as well. That looks to be at the chase sort of area of the track down there. That's going to be an issue. That's been a big one for the 7 car. But the gravel trap has done its job. There's damage at the rear. Got the Mayor of Bathurst with us. Thumbs up from the driver. Let's have a look. Did he get... Oh, he got... It's another Bentley bump. And we've seen a couple of those today. It's the 10 car this time.
That's a big crash, John.
Matt Bell.
That is a very big crash. Ash Samadi is behind the wheel of the Vodka number 7 car. Twice we've seen this today from 2 separate Bentleys, and that's the 10 car that Matt Bell has got to P5 side by side through the chase at 270 kilometres an hour. The crash structures in the SLS doing its job, backed into the wall.
What you've got there is a driver in the Bentley sitting on the right-hand side of the car, a driver in the SLS sitting on the left-hand side of the car. Matt Bell was alongside there. If you apply the B-pillar rule, as you were mentioning early on, he was deciding ahead into the turning area. I'd like to see how the stewards look at that one. We'll have a quick word with the Mayor before we've gone full course caution, so we've got an opportunity, Mr. Mayor. We think of this as a racetrack. It's part of an area of New South Wales that is chock full of things to see and do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, John. And look, us local Bathurstians, we're very proud of Mount Panorama and the significant asset that we have here. But in addition to that, as you rightfully say, there is so much more to Bathurst in this region, and we're very fortunate. We have some pretty unique features here, and particularly amongst our museums. I mean, there is only one National Motor Racing Museum. There is only one Chifley Home, of course, and particularly our regions, Hill End and Sofala, and the history they hold in Australia's history, really, with the gold rush and so forth, and many attractions for people to come and visit.
What's to come in the remainder of the Bathurst 200 celebrations? This is a great way to kick it off, an international event at arguably Bathurst's most famous location. We're live on 7, trending around Australia on Twitter, but there's some more major events to come throughout the year.
Oh, there certainly is. In May of this year, it's when we actually turn 200. And we've got some significant events planned for that period of time. One is a lasting monument, of course, which will be the construction of a flagstaff, and it's a pretty significant size flagstaff too, I might add. But it forever will place Bathurst in Australia's history with the establishment of the settlement here.
Just finally, Mr. Mayor, if we can, thoughts about the racetrack. The Council have invested in the racetrack, they've invested in the museum and some of the exhibits in there. You can't stand still on this. There's been changes since last year, and there are rumours about changes in the future. What can you tell us?
Yeah, look, as you say, John, it's pretty significant to maintain a significant asset like this, and we will continue to invest in this very special place here. But we have other plans. We're working through constructing a second circuit here at Mount Panorama.
It's very exciting stuff. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Richard.
Very much appreciated. Thank you to you and your organisation for their support of the race. It's very much appreciated, believe us.
Thanks again.
You heard it first here on 7, a second circuit to be constructed here at Mount Panorama. And thanks, by the way, to the whole of the council for our IT support from Luke and the rest of the guys, and the Mayor and all the people down at Bathurst Regional Council. We've got another chance to get away from the circuit without missing any action, so we'll take that, of course. Make sure you see as much of the green flag racing as possible. It's live and free on 7 with the Liqui-Moly Bathurst, 12 hours for 2015.
Back to Mount Panorama. That was the damage to the Vodka Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. We can hear more about that. Shay Adam is in their garage right now.
Dean, you and I were just unfortunately watching that replay. What happened? What was reported to you?
Look, that was the first time I saw it. I was actually in the cryo machine. I got out of the car, so that's the first time I saw it, and it looks like the Bentley's gone underneath, and there's plenty of room there, but he's touched Ash and pushed him out on the grass, and you're doing 280. So there's nothing he could have done, and unfortunately that's ended a race, and we're going really well,
We're getting another look at the replay here. Talk us through what you see happening.
Well, there's room for 2 to go through there, but anyway, look, it's just unfortunate, you know. We're having such a good race and really enjoying it. The car was so strong. Yeah, really disappointing.
Did you find that the driving conditions were not as gentlemanly as they have been in the past? People not behaving themselves as much?
Oh, look, it certainly stepped up a level. There's no question, like all the pro teams and that, and you really have to watch your mirrors. They just fire it in their pro races, and you know, sometimes they've got to remember it's a 12-hour race, and I think the Bentley's lucky it didn't come off as well.
Sorry to see your race end that way.
So that's the news from the Vodka team. Dean Grant there, Melbourne publican, amongst other business ventures, quite accomplished racing car driver as well. And that team were very proud of themselves that they were the only Class A GT3 car without a gun pro driver in their lineup. They were just, as they said to me last night, 3 blokes having a go at Mount Panorama. So they were very, very enthusiastic. Ash Samadhi and Maxi Twig, who will race with Erebus in Australian GT this year full-time, really doing a great job so far this season. As we welcome our audience in the West. G'day, WA. Hope you're enjoying the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour. We think we've got quite a motor race to unfold before us this afternoon. We've seen so much. We're about to go back to green. It's the Nissan GTR that leads the field to the green flag. And a record number of safety car laps have been logged today, but what we've seen between them has been pretty special. There's been great motor racing unfolding, and side-by-side battle here. The SLS goes up the inside of the Bentley into turn 1. That's the race leader, though. The car behind is driven by a very speedy Queenslander called David Russell. He's trying to unlap himself from the race leader and try and get themselves back into contention. And he's not too far away from doing that job.
Wouldn't be the worst thing to do for Chio-san, who's at the wheel of the Nissan, to let him go, unless he thinks he's going to hold him up and cost him lap time. He's not battling that Lambo behind him in the GTR. The headlamp's flashing. And Dave wants to be by, going through the cutting. The Nissan just takes a wee time longer to get heat and pressures into its tyres. The car you've got to watch is the 36 black Erebus Mercedes-Benz SLS, sitting third in that queue. There he is, coming up the top of the rise, heading up towards McPhillamy and across towards the top of the mountain.
So David Russell in that black Lamborghini that follows our race leader in the Nissan is 2 laps behind the race leader. If he passes the Nissan, he's 1 lap behind. And the difference is massive, because the next safety car that comes, he makes up a full 2 minutes and will rejoin the back of the freight train. And that buys him into the motor race. Then they only have to make up 6 kilometres more. And I know it sounds ridiculous, and it is a long way, but in a motor race this long, this tough and this brutal, it is a doable thing. So David needs to get past the number 35 Nissan.
And he pulls away from the Lamborghini. That Nissan is, I think, the second quickest car in a straight line. The Ferrari's, for me, still the quickest car in the straight line. And the...
I don't know, Hindy. I think the only car faster than it's the one behind the Lamborghini, which could be the SLS AMG.
I think, I'll be honest with you guys, I think by far the Nissan is the quickest thing in a straight line. An absolute rocket ship, and able not just to hold his line and pull away, but actually to make the moves too, without necessarily the use of the toe. It is a rocket ship down the mountain. It's a rocket ship up the mountain. It's across the mountain that we've seen the other cars pull back on the Nissan GTR. And it's all about whether or not Dean Canto can get past the Lamborghini. And this is where the Mercedes-Benz is strongest. He's got a bit of a toe.
I think the Lambo's a pretty good all-round package.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. It's a well-balanced car. And didn't we hear David Russell telling us that when we had him in the booth for the practicing qualifying day on Friday, he really loves driving this car. And what's not to like? Honestly, you'd drive a shed on wheels around Mount Panorama if you got the offer to do it. But this is a car that is well suited. You've got to have a car that's a good compromise.
And there's life in the old bull. Yeah, this is obviously an older spec car, but there's a new 2015 spec coming from the Writer Engineering team, as well as the new factory-backed Huracan. There is a new REX version of the car, which has got a hugely wide rear end on it. So who knows in a year or so's time, with if the rules stay the same with the year's homologation on these cars, you might see that car around the mountain.
Let's look a little bit further back towards the Century Batteries GT3 class. This is the number 47 Superbarn Supermarkets Porsche. It is your class leader at the moment. They are scored in 18th outright. Theo Konduris is behind the wheel. He and his brother James are the men behind Superbarn Supermarkets, Canberra boys. Great supporters and long-time competitors in Porsche one-make racing. They sort of stepped back from the sport for the last couple of years to focus on their business commitments, but decided to come back. They had the Cup S Porsche that we see on screen now in the shed and decided, well, why not? Let's have a go. They put together a very strong Porsche-oriented team because with them is Marcus Marshall, who raced Carrera Cup here, has raced at the highest level indeed in IndyCar racing and Champ Car in the States. And with them is Sam Power, a fantastic young rising star of Australian motorsport who finished inside the top 5 in Carrera Cup Australia last year as a rookie, first time in Tin Top racing after years in Australian Formula Ford. And next year, will be racing in Porsche Super Cup internationally, which is an amazing thing. So that Class B car, it's a battle on there, but they've got a lap or two up their sleeve from the number 4 Grove Group car, the entry with Ben Barker behind the wheel, 20th outright at the moment.
Quick glance at Terry Knight there in the LHI Cup car, the Class B Century Batteries car, chasing them down at the moment.
We watch the cars coming down, coming on straight again. Actually, I think for the first time in the race, it's not a Class B car that is the first non-Class A thing in the order, because what's in 16th position now is the number 93 car. That's Ben Jerzakowski in the 93 Mark Focus V8. That car is just gradually making its way up the order. It may be 5 laps off the overall lead, but that's a very good place for that car to be at this stage of the race.
Only 5 laps off. I heard from Ryan McLeod, who's put this whole Mark Cars Australia program together, and he's starting to shuffle around for a decrease in the time that they're allowed to do. During the race, that car's not allowed to go quicker than a 2-minute 12. It's basically to stop the one-off enduro specials from someone putting a 1,000 horsepower engine into something completely exotic and going out and destroying the field. So they're allowed to run to a benchmark time of 2-minute 12. Ryan's going, let us off the leash. We want to go a bit quicker. We're not going to be GT3 spec fast, but we can go faster. But at this point, he's very happy that those cars are up racing with the Class B Porsches.
The 54 Donut King Lotus leads Richard's Class C. This is effectively a GT4 category, and Chris Porritt was just in for our international audience a few moments ago, back in the Aston Martin again, over from the United States, where he's now looking after the development of Tesla cars out in Fremont, California. They're battling with this car. The Aston's just at a pit stop, so it's a little bit further back down the road. That's the dark grey St. Gallen machine, which I'm so pleased to see that customer EMR team back again at the mountain, because they've had horrid luck over the last few years. Indeed, Chris Porritt's last race was here in 2012, and he suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and someone else's accident early on.
They were one of the first teams to enter the race this year. That's how keen they were. They had their entry in by August and all announced and set to go. They were super keen to come back.
Still on the same lap as the Lotus is the grey Aston Martin. Flat grey looks fantastic on that race car. Purple and black looks even more fantastic on this little Lotus. Brand new car here this weekend for Tony Alford, the Donut King race team. What a fantastic looking livery that is on a car, and certainly Chris Porritt was telling me they're nip and tuck around the mountain, but once the thing actually kicks out and down Conrod Straight, this thing, because it's so light, can pick up speed, gets the traction down very, very well.
V6 in the Lotus of
Toyota V6
origin, yeah.
So if you've got a Toyota Camry of recent vintage, it's basically the same engine. It's just a little bit quicker.
Currently 27th outright as well. The Class C cars have been towards the bottom end of the timing monitor for much of the weekend, but chipping away in this race, and Tony Alford behind the wheel, 27th overall. We go back, GWS personnel bringing us the Class D Invitational production car as we look at a vehicle that is officially the most successful car in Bathurst 12-hour history. This is a car that won the race twice outright in the production car era. It's since been developed and it's grown a rear wing and it's got slick tyres and different racing car drivers. This is an amazing race car. The BMW 335i Turbo first raced here in 2007, and the 12-hour return to the Australian motorsport scene. It has contested every race since.
And is leading its category at the moment. The 28 car, Rick Short, Jake Williams, Matt Charder and Steve Devjak with the 335i. It's still a good-looking car, that, isn't it? When you see it coming up the mountain in isolation, that looks like a pretty mean-looking racing car. Then when you put the GT3 cars, wow, you could drive that to the supermarket.
We were talking about Andy Priaulx, weren't we? It's got the look of a WTCC car from Andy's kind of era in the WTCC, winning those World Championships, hasn't it?
How's this for a record? As we just want to touch on that BMW very, very quickly, John. 2007 won its class. 2008 won its class. 2009 third. 2010 won it outright. 2011 second in its class. 2012 third in its class. 2013 won its class. 2014 second in class. That car has not finished off the podium in its class in 10 years here.
Here's the Recaro Class I Invitational for the endurance cars. It's bounced backwards and forwards, the lead here, between two of the Mark Cars Australia vehicles, which are exactly the same underneath. It's a space frame with a big V8 up front. This is the Focus, the 93 car. The 91, new for this race, and the debuting Mazda 3 V8 shape has been bouncing backwards and forwards depending on the pit stop strategy. This is a brilliant concept. I've seen them at Zandvoort, at Dubai, and in other endurance races, and they're really honing the reliability as well as the speed of these cars. They could go quicker, as Krillsy was saying earlier, but for the reference time, I understand why that's put in, and of course, it's not meant to embarrass anybody else, but this is a concept I think has legs.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. Almost entirely built, developed, engineered, and parts sourced from within a 200, 250k range within Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
It's
in
Aussie.
Queensland. It's an Australian car. Chassis designed by Paul Sepranich, Pace Innovations. Ryan McLeod ties it all together. It is outstanding stuff. Meanwhile, we have a battle for the race lead on our hands. This is the Nissan, followed by the Mercedes with Dean Canto. Behind them, still that Lamborghini trying to get its lap back.
And almost tripped over, did Gio, their back marker. That almost gave Dean Canto a chance to get up the inside, but the straight line speed of the GTR just too much.
That is the battle for the lead. We've been keeping an eye on it while we give you the other class leaders. Nothing happening just yet, but now Canto gets a run down towards the final corner, and Chio realises the danger and goes very defensive. He'll try the comeback. Dean on the inside almost gets the overlap. Now Chio can't come over any further. They go down the hell corner. There's a tiny overlap, but no, Dean drops back to the right-hand side. Chio looks absolutely unflappable in that Nissan.
Here we go.
Here's the traffic. This could be it, as the SLS tucks right underneath the rear wing of the GTR. This is proper Bathurst battles up the mountain straight, and Chio defensive early for the Griffin Bend, the right-hander up the mountain straight.
So the experience and guile of Dean Canto, and plenty of miles here at Mount Panorama, taking on what we think is the fastest car in a straight line, full stop this weekend, with the young Japanese driver who has, I think, come of age and become a proper star with his performance this weekend. He leads the race. He's under all kinds of pressure. And this is a sensational battle. 3 hours and 38 to go in the race. And this is the fight for the lead. And it could very well be the fight for the lead with 3 minutes and 38 to go.
We jumped out of our seats, we saw that. They went to the in-car for Chio, and it just looked like it was cool. The cucumber flavoured paddle pop, didn't it, at that stage? Amazing stuff from the young Japanese.
And it's been pointed out to me on Twitter as well, the 36 SLS is actually dropping bits. It's lost its badge on the grille, it's missing part of the grille, so it's losing weight. So
that's exactly it. It's a lightning programme they've actually got.
The thing you put me on that as well, Erebus, please. That would be really good if I could lose a little bit of weight. Far too good hospitality around the Bathurst area. Some fine hostelries and eateries around here. And at the moment, the SLS is trying to get back on terms with the Nissan. But wow, that Nissan is quick in a straight line. We've seen the SLS with a straight line speed advantage in the last few years. Nissan have been rather hamstrung by their fuel allowance. They could be fast, but they burn a lot of fuel, and we saw in the last couple of years they had that option along with the SLS to be given a slightly bigger fuel tank this year, and that has allowed them to run faster and longer.
We ride on board with David Russell. Do you know what he's thinking right now? Righto, Dino, we've raced each other for a long time. Throw it up the inside, make both of you run wide, and I'll get a lap back.
Yeah.
That's what I want right now.
9th of the minute is David Russell.
But he's got a bird's eye view, and they just take some evasive action. The Sharon Rentals BMW down at turn one of the Class D GWS personnel invited production cars. What a fight.
And again now, a little bit of breathing space for Chio. And here comes the Bentley in the background as well. And that is the number 8. In comes Matt Bell into the pit lane, the number 10 car, sitting in 5th position.
Not sure if that's entirely a scheduled stop from that car. They were in on lap 171, and we've seen today with all the safety cars that it is possible to go 32, 34 laps on a stint. And because he's driven the whole way through pit lane without stopping, I'd suggest that was enforced by our friends in race
another. That will be for contact with the vodka or SLS.
Correct.
Okay.
Drive-through penalty for car 10.
Well, avoidable contact is what we used to call it in the States. It was avoidable.
And it was contact.
It was contact. I'm just going to put my 2 cents worth in and say it was avoidable by both drivers, not just the Bentley.
I have to say, I tend to agree. At first sight, just seeing it as it passed by on the TV coverage, it did look a bit 50-50, but I saw Matt with his nose ahead into that corner.
Problem is that you can't take somebody else's line, Graham, and I accept that as well. And there's 2 sides to every story. You know, maybe, and I know this shouldn't be the case, but maybe the severity of the impact has slightly affected the decision there. If there'd just been a side-by-side contact and they'd continued.
That and the sort of unspoken rule that you just don't go side-by-side through the chase.
Correct.
Rather tragically, we're getting a bit of a Twitter war at the moment between the relative PR guys of Aston Martin Racing back in the UK and Bentley. Who are you? It's being tweeted at the moment.
Yeah, massive reach from those 2 brands on Twitter, and they've been going at it since practice on Friday, actually, for Best of British honours.
Yeah, absolutely true. At the moment, that is held by Aston Martin, with Darrell Young in 3rd position in the 97 Craft Racing car. It's great to have those 2 great brands, and they are worldwide brands, of course. Bentley and Aston Martin. Aston Martin consistently voted the coolest brand in the world. Not of anything, not just car brands, by the way.
I'm not sure how it couldn't be. Amazing cars, road cars and race cars alike. Just thinking back the last time a V12 car won at Mount Panorama, and I'm going to go to 1985 and the debut of the Group A era.
Was this the XJS?
The Walkinshaw XJS.
Wow.
Dark green.
Saw that with that car yesterday.
Yeah, beautiful thing.
We talked a little earlier, guys, about the variety of cars and the number of nationalities coming here. I think I'm right. We've got 7 different nationalities of driver in the top 8 at the moment. It is the growth of this race and the reach of this race has just gone so far, so fast. It's remarkable.
Let's give some pats on the back to people that deserve it, because they've managed to get cars into the top 10 that weren't there earlier, or they've had some serious issues. Benny Simonson behind the wheel of the 49 Vicious Rumour Racing Ferrari. Those guys have just circulated, stayed out of any form of drama today.
And they started 50th.
And last, absolutely.
42 positions made up in the afternoon, so the day so far. Benny and the boys.
And if you're wondering, Benny is indeed the brother of the late, great Alan Simonson, who was a great friend of all of ours here in Australia, so much so we named our pole position trophy after him, won yesterday by the Audi team and Lawrence Ventnor. First time that Benny had come to race in Australia, and he's just been so well embraced and become part of this Vicious Rumour Racing team. Tony DeFelice, who's the team owner there, stepped out of that car a week ago to put Benny in, and I think it's paid dividends, because not only has he been very, very fast, that car has too. And so too, Hector Lester, I noticed, is in the paddock too. British GT co-driver for Benny now, and Alan before.
Absolutely, and I think Benny's having the race of his life here. It's absolutely fantastic form. It does have the look of Alan about him, a little taller, I think, but he's a quick boy.
Loving the split screen on the stream at the moment that shows Matt Bell and the calmness behind the wheel and what's going on outside, really belying just how economic of movement now goes on the brakes for the Michelin Chase 7. Have always pioneered some great onboard shots, and the fisheye in the cab has been, and in the cockpit has been massively successful this year. You're tweeting us hashtag B12HR, saying how much you like that one, and the one directly above the driver in the squirt car as well. But just look how calm, how collected Matt is as he comes down, brakes now and turns in to the left-hander, runs out a little bit of curve there. No hands coming off the wheel anymore, of course, because it's just a flick of the second finger Now there is the leader. Where is the Erebus Mercedes? He's less than a second away, and there's traffic now for Chio-san. This is danger time. There's no way through here. We know he is very, very patient indeed. Watch in the background. He can't get through that. Good blue flags waving now. The Porsche moves out the way. Great driving by everybody. Great flagging by the marshals as well. And look in the background, there's Dean Canto. He's coming. He's got past the Lamborghini that was between them a little while ago, had a little bit of a nibble round the back of the Nissan, and now once again has only one car between them. Graham.
What helped him there was the fact that not only did the leader have traffic, but also so did the Erebus car, because the Mark V8 Mazda 3 got between the two of them. That's what saved Chio from actually having his mirrors all the way full of Mercedes-Benz, and it got him to the position on this track where he's at his strongest in the straight line. And once he was there, he was gone. And here he comes down pit road now. Chio pits from the lead. That will put the number 36 car through into the lead of this motor race.
So pit stop for the Nissan. Dean Canto assumes the race lead, and from my maths, this looks right on schedule for the Nissan. Lap 189 for Chio. Oh, that's a brilliant stint. That has been a very good stint, and more dramas for the number 73 Ginetta.
This is one of the GT4, the Class C machines, the Richards GT4 category, and that's an under-bonnet fire, I'd wager there. And the way that the driver is bailing out, he's not liking the smell of that either. There's nothing worse than flames being seen underneath the bonnet, and trust me, I know, if it happened to me. Fortunately, it was just a little bit of blowback from the carburetors of the car that I was driving. Yes, I am that old.
It's Wolfie Reed getting aboard the Nissan as the dramas continue to afflict the Ginetta.
I can think of worse drivers to put behind the wheel after his stint this morning. They've got three very strong, very consistent drivers, and we're getting a safety car. So we've seen a record number of safety car laps today on the mountain. We're one away from our record number of safety car interruptions, 15 in 2013. This makes it number 14 for the day.
Should point out, by the way, guys, of course, it does lead its class. This is in the amateur class, the 35 car, and second at the moment in the amateur class is Benny Simonson, 8th position overall.
I don't think anyone would object to him getting a trophy. At about.
I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. Find some wood really quickly.
Out goes the 35. And that is Wolfie Reed just getting himself settled in the car. This may play nicely for them as Dean Canto has gone through and resumed the lead. Don't like the look of that black smoke coming out from under the bonnet there. And it happened very, very quickly coming through the Michelin chase. And it looks like there's some fluid coming out of that car as well. And that's a big bailout by the driver. He knows he's got issues. Might even be struggling on his own oil there. Might be a bit of an oil fire underneath the engine compartment, but black smoke from an engine normally means something severely
Michael Hovey behind the wheel of that car at the moment, and now running away from it, as you would, black smoke pouring from
he's hit the
Ginetta GT4.
He's hit the underbonnet extinguisher about 3 or 4 meters further back. As I said, the only time this has happened to me, I was lucky enough to be able to blip the throttle, kill the engine and stop the flyer. But this looks like it's something a little more serious than that. Let's head down into the pit lane and to the Phoenix garage. Here's Mark.
Yeah, Marco Mappelli with me, car number 15 has been the one they've been chasing all weekend. And Marco, right now you've got a bit of work to do. You want to get that car back up into the podium.
Oh, definitely. It's a tough race. Obviously, the fuel strategy will be the main issue, or main point for the win the race. So we are still fighting for the win, and we're going to push so very, very hard.
Okay, what happens from here for you guys?
Well, Marcos has to finish his stint, then I jump in, and then Lawrence is in.
Okay, so race to the line, the next few hours it's on.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be on fire.
Tell us about your recovery, getting out of the car. I mean, we know it's hot out there at the moment. The track's about 50 degrees and the car's close to 60. How do you recover between stints?
Just drink a lot. We do a massage, and then we just have some food, get change, and relax, actually. Yeah.
So you're ready to go again?
Yeah, of course.
All right, Marco, good luck out there. Good
Cheers.
to see you. Thank you.
Well, we've got the opportunity to get a breakaway whilst the safety car is out. So let's do that, because we know that you hate missing racing as much as we do. And we'll be back after the clear-up and the smouldering Ginetta with more live and free Bathurst Liqui-Moly 12 hours here on 7. Well, this is our 15th safety car, as the Flatty is back out again, this time for the 73 Ginetta G50, sort of dishevelled at the moment and in a state of dishabille, slight undress. And this is why. Look to the left of the picture on the Maguire's replay coming down through the Michelin chase. And you can see there's already trouble for that car with some kind of fluid and smoke coming out the back of it early on, and it looks like the V6 engine has given up in the biggest possible way, and from that it goes to black smoke from under the bonnet very quickly, and it's time then to bail out. You don't have to be any kind of good in the way you do it or stylish. You want to be out of there as quick as possible. Pull the fire extinguisher and get out.
Yeah, part of the regulations around going car racing these days, every car needs to have an internal firebomb system so they can push it on the dash. The marshals can push it from the outside of the car as well to get any potential blaze out very, very quickly. They're very powerful, the internal fire support systems on these cars.
What you normally have is one for the interior of the car and one for the engine bay area as well. And the first thing that you always do when you get into a race car is to make sure that the safety pin for that is pulled out. Let's head down to the Donut King. Adam, sorry, I'll put a colon in there. Let's head down to the Donut King. Adam.
That's, no matter how you say it, John, it's not going to come out the way you intend it to. I'm here with the Donut King, Tony Alford, and you've just gotten out of the class-leading C car Lotus. Beautiful paint scheme, first off, let me just say. The pink really stands out on the track, but it also just stands out because it's led for most of the day. You're familiar with leading at this track. How's your race been going?
The race has been going well. It's a very good contest between the Donut King Lotus and the Aston Martin. We're swapping leads, and it's really good. The heat's, I think, taking it out of all the cars out there, particularly the smaller cars, the smaller capacity cars, and we certainly have timing coming out of the car, and that loses horsepower, but beautiful day, you know, couldn't ask for more.
And the heat's taking it out of the drivers as well as everyone else on the pit lane, but you're currently plugged into your cool suit. Will you be getting back in for another stint?
Well, for a start, I didn't have a cool suit in the car, and I didn't have water in the car, so I am quite hot, but yes, hopefully I'll get back in for the last stint.
And what's the plan from here on out?
We just keep going and, you know, just run our own race, set our own pace, and we're either there at the end or we're not.
Would you rather have a 12-lap lead or be having this great fun battle with the Aston Martin?
A 12-lap lead, thank you.
And that from the Donut King, you would like to have his little bit of a buffer.
No, keep talking. We're busy here, and there's no time for this. I tell you what,
see what I have to
work on here. So we need to go to a break. We'll be back on 7, live and free, with more from Liqui-Moly Bathurst. 12 hours for 2015. At the end of this,
we're back at Mount Panorama. The Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour continues. Plenty of colour and action in the paddock, which has been full since the very start of this race weekend. 3 hours and 16 minutes left on the clock, 192 laps in the books. One man who's just jumped out of the number 32 Lamborghini is David Russell. He's down in pit lane and he's talking to Mark Beretta.
Yeah, great stint day, Russell, too. Started, about 15th, worked your way up 6 places to 9th. That's a great effort.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing other than the actual places we got a lap back at the end there. We were 2 laps down. We had a drama with a rim earlier today, then wheel nut problem. So that's sort of the start of the race. We were P3. We've dropped 2 laps. We were way down to, in the 20s. And we chipped away. And that session I knew I had to just muscle my way up to the front. We get a safety car and just try and get up to the front of the pack so that, if the leaders in front of us pitted, which they did, we could get the lucky dip run through and get the safety car. So we had a bit of strategy to play in. We didn't have to play that out in that particular instance, but Steve-O's in for a stint. It was pretty hot. We ran out of the cool suit. It was like a hot water bottle then, so I'm a little bit hot and bothered, but I'm ready for another stint to finish the race.
Right, so you cool down and go again.
Yeah.
You had a great tangle with one of the guys who's always a hard racer, John Bow, out there.
Yeah, look, Bow, he's a tough competitor, but he's fair at the same time. He's not going to sort of cut in front of you or anything like that. He races hard and fair, and that's the way I like it. So he made me earn it, and to get that spot was big for us because we could really make some inroads, move forward, and move up to the back of those leaders. I had a good dice with Chio and Canto. They had the blue flags out for me, which obviously means that being a lapped car. If I'd hung out, I had the same pace as those guys, so if I'd hung out and Canto was behind me, I probably would have got a bad sportsmanship flag, so I let him past at turn 2 and just sat behind him and just thought, well, I'll see what plays out in front. They might tangle trying to get to the lead, and I'll cruise on through and get my lap back. So I'm happy we're only 1 lap down, and hopefully we'll be on the lead lap. If Steve-O can make some inroads, we might be on the lead lap in his stint. So fingers crossed.
You're still chasing a podium?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's on.
Good stuff. Yep. Love it, Dave.
Yep.
Rest up, mate. See you soon.
Thank you.
Aston Martin leading on the pit stop cycle. I think that's the first time that AMR and the 97 car have been at the head of the timing and scoring. It's Marcus Wilkenhock in second place in the 15 Audi, then the 16. That's team cars, 2 of the Phoenix cars, second and third, and then Matt Bell in 4th position in the Bentley. How did we get here? As the talking heads once said. Well, we'll give you a look back at some of the highlights that we've had recently and our Maguire's recap. It's been action all the way since we went green at 10 to 6 this morning.
It's all shaping up too for a remarkable finish, and the events that led us to it have been pretty exciting as well. We take a look back. This resulted in a drive-through penalty for car 10. Much worse for the Vodka O SLS. Hefty rear impact into the wall at the Michelin Chase, and that car out of the race. Car number 7 were running strongly on their own in Class A. This was a great fight. Chio in the Nissan GTR with Dean Canto in the Erebus Mercedes, dueling for the race lead. This was with more than 3.5 hours remaining in the motor race.
Look how close the front of that car was to the back of the Nissan.
This has caused some recent dramas. The number 73, Janetta Michael Hovey, was behind the wheel of the Triffid number 73 car and pulled off to the side of the road. Some form of fire or something might not have been on fire, but it was pretty smoky under the bonnet of that car, and that has brought out the safety car for a record number of times today and a record number of laps. What it is ensuring, though, is it's keeping everybody that's in this game, everyone that's playing to win this motor race, on the lead lap and within 15 or 16 seconds of everybody. So it's keeping a lot of cars in contention for a race when otherwise perhaps they might not be. So this is going to shape up to an amazing finish.
Just looking at a tweet from Erebus Motorsport with a very, very damaged rim that's come off their lead car. They were really lucky to get that one back without any issues. And Jack LeBrock was very, seeing Dean Canto, very lucky to get to the end of the stint with the rim bent as where it is. If you're not on social media, you need to be, because you're missing so much that's going on from the teams and drivers. And don't forget to use the hashtag B12HR as we're getting ready to go back to green. Everybody closing up this time. They've learned their lessons, and it's the Clearwater Ferrari that sits in behind the leader. Is this another chance for a lap back for Matt Griffin, the very rapid Irishman? Oh, almost got caught out by the lead car slowing down there. Matt knows he can't overlap. He's not battling for the lead, but he is battling to get a lap back. He's 2 back at the moment. And he wants to get one of those back as soon as we go green flag, which is happening right now with 3 hours and 11 minutes to go. And he doesn't get the run on the leader as Darrell O'Young heads towards Hell Corner for the 195th time of asking. The battles go on further back down the field, and now the Ferrari, which is very, very slippery indeed, will drag up to the back of the Aston Martin. The interesting thing is we've got Winkelhock right there, and that is the battle for the lead. And Winkelhock will try and pull out and use Matt as a little bit of a drafting partner. There is the Bentley number 11. That one's out of the chase at the moment in 12th position. Maxi Burke there behind the wheel. He will not give an inch either.
Yeah, so Maxi Book's still 2 laps off the lead. That team, or that part of that team, came back from it 2 years ago, but with 3 hours and 10, I'm not sure they can do it now. The interest is, can Clearwater get one of their 2 lost laps back? And can Marcus Winkelhock follow him through on Darrell O'Young, the 2-time winner of the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 Hour? He won then with Audi. He's now with Aston Martin, a team he's got heavy involvement in, Craft Bamboo Racing out of Hong Kong. Fantastically professional operation, amazing setup down below us in the pit lane garages, and he's pressing on.
We're about to get John's theory a little earlier as to how quick that Ferrari is in a straight line tested.
Yeah.
If Matt Griffin can get alongside and buy that Aston Martin, it will show that we've got one of the quickest cars in a straight line. Also watched, by the way, further back down this train, a change for the lead in Class C. The last 2 remaining cars, the Donut King Lotus, got by the Aston Martin on the restarts. I don't know whether or not he slightly jumped the gun. It was very, very close.
That's a great little fight, isn't it? The race within a race within a race. The Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 out. Here's the Ferrari. So we need to see if that 33 car can use the toe from the 97 Aston Martin. Well, the answer is not quite. He's there or thereabouts, but not quite enough to make any impact.
What do you do if you're Darrell O'Young? Do you let him go if he gets close enough? Because you don't want him muscling his way by, do you?
No, you don't. But I tell you what, if it comes down to the final lap and Matt Griffin finds his other lap that they've lost, and it comes down to a race between the 2 of them, he's probably rude letting him past.
He's got him here. If he wants it, he's going to take it here. Now, Darrell O'Young can help, or he can fight it as they go down to Hell Corner for the 196th lap.
To get up the inside, we're looking a little bit further back in the number 10 Bentley, so we can't quite see if Matt Griffin's able to get by. We know it's not a fight for the lead, but it is important because the race's overall balance, it will play out as the race goes on, and Winkelhock's trying as well. He's right in there. Griffin to the inside at turn 2. He'd have to come from a long way back to get through, which he does not do.
Nice of you to name a corner after him, though, Griffin's Bend. He was very impressed with that when he got here.
I believe he was. Why not make a move there at some stage? We'll need to get a good run out of Hell Corner to do it. So, leader, lapped car, trying to get back into the fight. Second place is in the queue with Marcus Winkelhock, and then the Bentley just tagging on to the back of the queue as well.
Yeah, that is not the 4th place car, though. We're looking for the 16 of Haase before that. That is the 11, isn't it, of Maxi Burke? He's in there. And he will be trying to get laps back as well. Just a little bit of a dark line up the back of the Bentley over the top of the exhaust pipes. Tends to make me think they've been running that car just a little bit rich. A little bit of unburnt fuel being coming out of that on the downshifts, maybe.
There's Hasse, just at the top of shot in that brightly coloured number 16 car.
There he is. So now he's going to get in behind the Bentley and get a tow down Conrod Straight. This might actually help him.
Not for position. He's trying to get up behind the black Audi there with the Kangaroo up the side. That's his teammate, Marcus Winkelhock.
I love this type of racing. You've got first lap car, second lap car, third, all sitting there, and they're all battling as hard as can be. Felix Baumgartner there, the Red Bull Stratos space jumper, sitting waiting for his turn, looking at the Audi, now firmly a fixture in Audi's endurance plans after making his racing debut at the Nürburgring 24 hours. Actually, not his racing debut, you wouldn't allow him to do that. It was the first big race. He'd already done some training and some BLN races on the Nordschleife, so let's not think that you can just jump into that race as if nothing at all. That's not the case, of course.
So, who's where on the racetrack? Darrell O'Young, 2:07.45. His first full proper flying lap after the recent safety car. Winkelhock, 2:07.7, slightly slower than the Craft Aston Martin. Hasse, a 7:35. Matt Bell, 7:7. Richard Muscat, a 9:3. I think in traffic in the 36 Erebus SLS AMG. So great pace at the front of the field, but nothing to separate the four cars at the very front of this ultra competitive queue.
Very impressed with Darrell Young's form in this Aston Martin. He's clearly got himself dialed into this GT3 car at this Bathurst circuit.
I've got a dictionary here, and if you look at versatility, then you do get a picture of Darrell Young. He's driven Porsche Carrera Cup, he's driven touring cars.
WTCC.
He's driven World Touring cars.
Macau specialist.
Front engine, rear engine, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. He has done it all.
He's what's also looking here under Smarty Pants, and he's there as well.
That's very good. Actually, a very unassuming young
he's
man.
great. He's great.
Great to talk to. Has a myriad of stories, most of which are unsuitable for primetime network television.
Absolutely.
And certainly no inroads being made by Marcus Winkelhock to try and get through on that very, very fast Aston. This is a little bit more like it from the Aston. They've been thereabouts all day, but we haven't quite seen the raw speed and ability to race wheel to wheel with the cars. It's nice to see that now. So we know what 97's got up its sleeve for a little bit later on. We say there's 3 hours to go. What we mean is there's only 3 hours to go. It's not a long time in the context of this motor race.
And they're 3 hours for a GT3 car. It's a sprint race. These cars perfectly capable of racing 110% over these kind of distances. 12 hours, it's been hammer and tongs. Yes, we've had a safety car interruptions, but while these cars have been running green, it has been nose-to-tail, wheel-to-wheel stuff.
Matt Griffin still shadowing the Aston Martin, still just a few tenths behind, and Young with a 7-0, Griffin with a 7-0 last time by as well, so he's absolutely matching toe for toe the Aston Martin that leads the race. He just needs to find a way by. It's a great battle between the different brands at the very front end of the Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12-hour. Aston Martin leading the race. Ferrari a lap down, but with great speed. Audi second. Bentley a lap down, but we've got speed in those cars, and one of them is in contention. It's the number 10 car with Matt Bell.
Christopher Haase flashing his lights at Matt Griffin. I'm afraid you're going to have to get rather close to the back of the Ferrari than that, if that's going to make any difference, Christopher. Because Matt Griffin can sniff the opportunity here that if there's any kind of error whatsoever from Darrell Young, he's back and another lap back towards the lead of this race. John.
Just taking in a message on Twitter with the hashtag B12HR from Bernard Cottrell. Great to hear from you, first of all, Bernard. I know you've not been very well recently. One of the foremost race directors in the UK, and he's sent a very simple message. When people ask me why I give so much of my time up to motor racing, I'm now just going to answer this. Can't argue with that, BC. Good to hear from you. Back in the wee small hours of the morning at 10 minutes to 4, back in the UK, watching the international coverage here on Channel 7, live and free from Liqui-Moly Bathurst 12 hours 2015, with just on 3 hours and a couple of minutes to run.
Matt
still
is looking very racy here.
Yeah,
All of a sudden, he's got a bit of a run. He's looking to see whether or not there might be any kind of space. And this is where Christopher Haase is going to watch himself. He's getting himself a little bit worked up about Matt Griffin ahead of him. He's going to have to worry a little bit more about Matt Bell behind him.
Yeah, we're not far away from pit stops too, and that's Marco Mappelli down at Phoenix Racing. Not far away from jumping into this car, the Kangaroo Audi Phoenix Racing, that currently sits second in the race. Hugely consistent fast lap times from Marcus Winkelhock.
Yeah, don't forget that first Bentley is Maxi Bug, who is down in 12th position and off the lead lap at the moment. We'll keep our eyes on the battle as it heads up the mountain straight. Let's go to Shea Adam in the pit lane.
Well, I checked in with the managing director of Craft Bamboo to try and find out what Matt Griffin would have to do to be let by, if you will, by Darrell Young, and the answer was quite a bit. They like having that one-car buffer between themselves and the Audi, and in fact, they're even hopeful that Matt might drop back a little bit and give the Audi some trouble and let the Aston Martin run off into the distance, but highly unlikely given the Irishman's temperament behind the wheel of the car, let's say. But the Craft Bamboo guys have told Darrell Young, do not let Matt Griffin pass.
They're worried about the end game, aren't they? They are worried about the end game in this race, and that car might well buy itself into a fight for the lead. It's starting to build here at Mount Panorama. There are 3 hours to go on the mountain. We'll duck away for a short break and come back with a great race on the other side of this.